You know what that means, JPI, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, thank you for that. I need it every time.
Bro, I can't with you, bro. All right. So what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Predcast. Episode number 4, right? 4. Yeah. I can't even fucking count to 4. Holy shit. But we got some interesting topics to go over today in general, right, guys? We all know early access for Predecessor just came out, less than a week old, right? Like, opinions are still fresh. A lot of people still gathering their opinions and such. We're going to dive into a couple of different topics as well as review some popular and unpopular opinions that we've, received out of people. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. If we could go in this specific order, if we could do Krashy, Medkit, JPI, Bearded, and then myself. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people a little bit about who you are, what type of content you do, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Krashy. I am a long-time MOBA player. I think I've been playing MOBAs since like season 2 of League. And if it was on PC, I probably tried it. Like, of every MOBA, like, that you could probably think of. I maybe didn't stick with it, but I've probably played every MOBA that's ever come out on PC, give or take like 2 or 3. But yeah, formerly covering Pokemon Unite, which is like a Nintendo Switch mobile kind of like Pokemon MOBA, pretty fun little game. And then recently made the full swap over to Pred, and I am a clean slate when it comes to Paragon opinions. So I'm coming in because the game's a MOBA, not because it's a Paragon remake or anything like that. But I have played Overprime and this game, so I have lots of thoughts from that kind of like fresh perspective.
No, that is awesome, because a lot of us are para refugees is what we call ourselves, or some of us do, and we all have that like itch to play Paragon again. We all like, that's what we're here for. We want to play that game, or at least get to touch our character that we all like. I was a Murdock main when I played Paragon. I love Murdock, and so getting here to play with him Pred is just, I love it, so to get your like feedback and to really give us that exact, because again, you're not here to like, all right, I want you to make Pred, I want you to make Paragon again, please give me that perfect tea. You want a good MOBA, you want a good 3D MOBA that we can play, and so your feedback is definitely going to be really good and genuine.
Yeah,
and we appreciate you being here, by the way, homie. Medkit, if you want to take it over.
What's up, everyone? It's me, Medkit. I make Predecessor content over on YouTube. I also stream on YouTube, so go ahead and check out my channel, and I'm really excited to be here for episode 4.
Spicy, and thank you for being here, Medkit, as always. Hey, this guy literally was streaming like 5 minutes ago. Like, he's grinding, bro. Go follow that man.
Yeah. Funny story, real quick. I was about to start a match, looked at the time, and I was like, I don't know if I can finish this on time, in time for episode 4. And I can't be late for that, so I literally just sat in the main menu, just chilling with everyone on chat. Shout out to Reaper, by the way.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you not jumping into a game. Like, we're like, all right,
oh yeah,
where you at?
I was like,
Hey everybody, I'm JPI. I am a longtime Paragon lover, and back then I always liked to do the unorthodox builds and explore strategies that were odd, and nothing has changed since then. For example, during the Paragon days, what I liked to do was go on they actually had a Chinese scene, and I would go on their forums, copy all the posts and translate them to figure out what they were doing. And one of the weirdest things that I found was Chinese support Kallari. It was a real thing, and it was actually a pretty well-refined strategy. And I'll have you say, I tried to introduce it to the West, and I maybe 12 out of 12
on fault
games,
I remember.
Yeah, like every single time I locked in Chinese support Kallari, draft dodge 12 out of 12 times. People were not even considering it. But regardless, I like to take that experimental approach with Predecessor as well. And so my community is known as the dojo, and we just try to help each other, new players and old players alike. We all can learn from each other and Predecessor for me is the game that I always dreamed Paragon could be. So I'm really, really happy these days I can make content as I wanted to many years ago. And yeah, thanks guys for joining the show. Hope you enjoy. We got a great episode here,
bro. And I'll tell you what, I'm with you there as far as like just having a game like this to constantly make content on. Like we don't got to worry about it disappearing in a couple of days.
Yes,
that shit's dope. You can go ahead and take it, Bearded.
What's going on, everybody? I am the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan Wonder. Big Ten champs back to back, baby. Let's go. All about it. All right.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. Excited to bring episode 4. And if you guys don't know, I'm a huge Wolverines fan. So let's go. Let's get into it. And on to you, Windu.
I'm with Star Killer. Get him out. Anyway, what's up, guys? I am Windu, also known as Windy the Mace. I do everything from mobile content, strategy content, and a little bit of racing here and there. But as many of you know, some might not, this is, again, the Predcast, where we specifically focus on doing Predecessor-related content. Even though we do compare Predecessor to other MOBAs, it's naturally going to happen. We do try to keep it as Predecessor-oriented as possible. But I'm going to start it off with just as simple of a question as possible here. Are you guys liking the game so far? What do y'all think?
Love it.
Yeah? You vibing?
Dude,
Love it.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm loving it, and I know you had just asked us a question, but I'm loving it, and I'm getting I watched For the Minions, and I literally just feel like I don't understand the straight just negativity coming from For the Minions.
Yes.
Mangoose, I need you to fix your crew, man. Just straight negativity. You always try to be positive, I get it, but the rest of your crew, man, just negative. I get it. Yes, it's bare bones. It is bare bones, but that doesn't matter, right? And the way they went on early access and talked about how early access isn't what it used to be. Well, no, that's because you guys allowed the change be the change. You don't have to allow the change to be the change. Early access is what early access is, and we know what it's supposed to be, so we can accept it for what it is. We don't have to be like, nope, that's not what it looks like anymore. That's, whatever. It got ruined by whatever shit. Like,
I mean,
all right.
So
anyway.
Bearded, talk your
that
shit,
right,
man.
like that. All right, somebody started off spicy.
Let's
Coming
go.
out
Yeah.
Go.
Shout out to the For the Minions crew, by the way. But
Love the Minions. Let's go.
I will say though,
Yeah, me pumped up.
no. So I will say though, here's the thing. I saw somebody on Reddit actually. They worded it very well. They said, think of it like this: at the end of the day, even if you compare Predecessor and Overprime, right? They said, in their opinion, they are both equally as far from full ready game to each other, because one of them has more refined game loop and game feel, while the other one, it has much more features, right? But we all, like, for example, those of you that have been in the MOBA scene for a while, we know that if you want to get a pretty damn good balanced MOBA, that shit's gonna take time. A lot of testing, a lot of patches, just slowly but surely tweaking and etc. Like it's a grind on that side, right? Which we will see that out of Overprime, by all means, Paragon the Overprime. And then as far as Predecessor goes, little tweaks still need to be made. Of course, no one was perfect, but it has a pretty damn good refined game loop. And I will say, even though there's a lot of things missing, even though I'm over here like, fuck, I wish I had more skins, bro. Like this is driving me crazy. At the same time, I'm still having a blast. Like this is probably the only MOBA I've ever played where I'm like, hey, you know what? I actually like mid lane in this MOBA. I'm actually vibing with it. Mid laners are kind of good in this one. I'll dig it. But I don't necessarily think that they are on the negative. I just don't think that they're as ahead as people wanted or expected. And I think that's a perception thing. But you guys can say your pieces on it before we go forward.
Well, yeah, let me pose this to you guys, because we are at a very interesting time, not only for Predecessor, but the Paragon successor race, because Predecessor just went early access and Overprime's about to go free to play. So that's
free to play early access.
Yeah, they just completely forewent early access, which probably means Overprime is going to be investing marketing dollars into their free to play release, because this is the biggest kind of release that they're ever going to have. Predecessor still, I mean, early access release is big, but I had the opportunity to interview RGS Ace otherwise known as Robbie Singh, the CEO of Omida, and he mentioned that they foresee their biggest growth is going to be free to play, which is about a year from now. So that tells me early access release, they probably aren't putting marketing dollars in it. And now Overprime is. I mean, I'm guessing because it is the free to play release. What comes after free to play, right? At least in my mind. What do you guys think about that?
So you
have full release. Free to play doesn't mean you can have a free to play release, yes, but that doesn't mean that it's your full release, right? Like full release is the biggest issue, right? That's the thing. Now, I do understand what you're saying there. That the water gets muddy there now because they came out with an early access that's free to play. So how do you differentiate your early access release to your full release? What's going to be the difference there? And I'm not saying I know that. I'm just saying there is a difference, and I don't know how we're going to tell the difference between those two. And that's for that game. You can obviously tell the difference here, what it's going to be like. But I mean, even then, they could drop. The Paragon did the same thing though. They dropped the paid early access and made it a free early access, and they still never came out of into full release for Paragon. So it all depends on that as well.
I think what I've been kind of like talking with my friends about is that looking at Pred early access, you have to be very honest about what it is. Like you have to look at it and say, okay, look, they've told us what it is. They said, look, this is early access. It's paid. They've even given the line, which I think is really important to say, like, hey, look, if you're not, pleased with all the features that are missing, wait, come back whenever, it's free to play, take a look at the game then. But what I think that kind of a message sends to me is a very large amount of confidence in the product that they have, because they're saying, you know what, we don't need you in just now. They're like, we want people in, we want to get more testing, we want more data, we want you to enjoy the game, but it doesn't seem like they feel the pressure to rush out and get their game finished and released, right? Like they're looking at the big checkpoints, and some of those big checkpoints are, really refining the game and getting things ready, coming out with some of those core systems, and then having full launch where they can actually like launch the game and have it shipped on console, because that's going to be huge, right? Like getting all of those people in the door with the best version of the game possible is important. So I look at the game and I think, like, would I love to grind a ranked mode right now? Absolutely. But that's not where they're at. And they've told us that. So I don't have that expectation. So I look at the game for what it is. And it's like early access. Yeah, it's paid. But dude, the value on those bundles, especially 50% off, is crazy. Like crazy value. I was definitely picking one of those up. And it's like, how does the game feel? What does it feel like when I play? And when I play the game, I have yet to meet me personally, I've yet to talk to a single person that I've either shown the game or that I've interacted with that's played the game that didn't like the game. Like, it's phenomenal. It feels amazing. And that is what the core of every good game needs to be, is an amazing game. And so Omega Studios has a gigantic benefit in the war of these kind of games where they are very communicative and they are like really, really open. And I love it. I love that. So I think that, I don't have my expectations too high, although I'm looking forward to seeing the work that they're going to put out and what they're going to continue to tell us and show us. But this version of the game coming out in this way, I'm very, very pleased with.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say though,
I'm with him on all points that he just mentioned.
Everything that we're missing is just quality of life. Mm-hmm. Now, how much that quality of life it means to the game and how well the game grows, in its future, is obviously different. Like a store, you need a store, you need obviously, a MOBA. It's going to be free to play, right? There's no MOBA that is a paid game, right? It's going to be free to play, but you got to make your microtransactions somewhere. So there's got to be a store. You got to make money somehow. You got to get the skins, right? So those are big when it comes to, players coming back. But Windu, no matter what, we'll see a skin on Smite and we'll have to go get it, and he'll go buy it when he doesn't actually even play Smite, but he goes and buys the skin.
Leave me the fuck alone.
That happens, right? I get this. I know that. So I know that's a big thing for these games, but it's not the big thing. The big thing is the game and how the game plays. And Predecessor is doing a great job making sure that foundation is the most solid foundation it can have to where they can move forward and to work on the quality of life stuff. I don't see a problem with the route they go. I had that same conversation when we did the Fault Partner panel. If you look at Fault, you look at Pred, the way they went about it are two different ways. One went gameplay, one went feel. right? And now they're trying to meet in the middle. And now obviously we see Fault's no longer here. I get that, but I mean, you could see there's two different ways. Now it's the same thing with Overprime. Overprime's going with, hey, we're going to put all the stuff into it and we're going to try to fix it all as we move. Predecessor like, hey, we're going to get this taken care of and then we're going to add other things in. While we know we got a strong foundation, we can work on everything else around it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm like, the comparisons have to be made between the two just because they're direct competitors. One thing that I'm a little bit concerned about with Overprime is the division of the player base between the casual queue and the ranked queue, because you need a substantial player base to facilitate both simultaneously, and Predecessor is not rushing into it because it could very well be that you just don't have enough players for both. And I think Overprime is pretty confident if they're going that way, but it's still a big risk.
Now, I will say, my bad, just to kind of throw this in there real quick. I will say, I'm very surprised by their strategy and how they decided to go about everything. Because I'm with Krashy on this one. That's big cojones to sit there and watch their competitor be like, yo, full release, we're throwing all these features, etc. And they're just like, yeah, we'll get there in about 6 months to a year. Like letting your competitor, and of course we've seen, like Bearded said, through Fault, just because you're the first one out does not mean that equals longevity, right? There's a lot more into having a live service game than just releasing it to the masses. And we of course wish all games the best of luck, but it really does show that they are very confident, and I'm honestly quite shocked that even with such a solid competitor, they're gonna take it nice and slow that way. Like if they do release free to play, full release a year from now, that's a year since their competitor's already been on the market. That is a big risk. If the competitor isn't, falls out or dies down a little bit, that they have a chance for a comeback. If their competitor starts making waves, that's now a bigger mountain you have to climb. You know what I'm saying? Definitely big risk, but I'm with Krashy.
I mean, to me, it's I'll let you go here in a second, Med. Sorry. To me, it's like the tortoise and the hare conversation. It literally is like they're like Overprime's jumping out to that fast lead, fine, but Predecessors taking their time and making sure every move they make is the right move and moving forward with it. Med, you were trying to say something. Sorry.
Oh, a couple of things. So Overprime right now. No,
just the one. You only one. Then we'll move on.
Fine. I'll condense it into one big thing.
No, man. Don't let him get away with that, man. No, I'm saying two things.
I like how he's doing that. All right. So Overprime, I'll admit, has the prettier main menu with all the functionality, all the different features and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. But gameplay, I'm gonna have to give that to Pred. Now, I'm gonna mention. I'm gonna talk about one thing that Krashy mentioned. Something about console. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I've said this before. I'll say it again. The actives in Overprime, there are way too many. I don't think they've considered console that much, considering how the hell are you going to port 6 different buttons? In Pred, however, there's 3. And they've kept that consistent. Krashy, have you noticed that?
When you buy Overprime, you have to buy the SCUF controller with it.
Oh, dude. Okay, actually, they're gonna have their own proprietary fucking controller.
It's gonna be an MMO controller with 20 buttons on it.
It's gonna be part of the story. Hey, the only way to get Overprime on console is to buy this bundle, and it comes with a SCUF controller. Like that's the only way it's gonna happen.
It's gonna look like that fucking Razer mouse with the 24 buttons. Mm-hmm. It's gonna look like a fucking calculator.
So. I've been saying, I actually just said this today in Windows Discord. Actually, somebody talked about the console and console when and stuff of that. Like, and they think that just because Overprime is coming out and they're already talking about how they got the PS4 kit and stuff like that, whatever, all that stuff going on. That they're going to go to console first, and when that happens, that Pred's no longer going to be able to survive. They're going to have to shut down shop. And I completely disagree with that. One, like what Windu just said with Fault came out first. Why are they not in the lead? Why are they shut down right now? Right? Coming out first doesn't mean everything.
Right.
If Paragon the Overprime comes out in console tomorrow, in the state that they were just doing their closed beta test, or their final test, the final test they just did on console, and people play that, and then Predecessor comes out, and they get their quality of life stuff in, and then they come out on console, people will play that and they will see that the game is that much better, and they will go to that one instead, because this one right now, it just plays better. There are things that needs to be worked on. One thing being the sound, right? There are sounds like Richter sounds fucking amazing, right? But sound feedback, like when you're attacking, when you're basic attacking, like that feedback knowing that it landed. I honestly can't tell you if there's a different sound of landing as a hit and missing a hit, and there should be that sound there. You want to know if you landed your base attack, you want to know that, right? Also, when you kill a hero, it's the same sound as killing a minion. That ka-ching, ka-ching, like it's the same thing. So like I want to give me a different sound on that to separate the two. But certain things that just need worked on, but like you fix that stuff and put that on console, people will play that more than they'll play Paragon, the Overprime that was just played not too long ago. I heard the ranged minion sounds are not very attractive, but I want to play a little devil's advocate here, even though if I remember correctly from Mangoose's video, I don't think that Overprime has had controller support on PC, which is kind of, it's not an argument in favor of them, but I just want to
play. You said Overprime
and move on. Overprime, yeah, they apparently they're yeah.
So there was support, but they had to run Steam in Big Picture in order to get the controller to work. So It wasn't flawless, but you were able to play on a controller.
Okay.
It took some console player or some controller players a good amount of time that first day to figure that out. I know a few of them that were struggling, and then it took them, like, we already got a game or two in, and then they were finally, okay, I can play. They were actually getting ready to give up and go play Call of Duty because they weren't able to play on controller. So,
yeah. I see.
But they finally figured out what it was. So,
or
how to do the workaround. It's not like it's fully supported. It was a workaround, right?
Yeah. So, people had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to play devil's advocate here, because what about this, right? What if Overprime is including console players, but they're not the main target, and they went with the 6 actives on PC because they wanted to be the hardcore MOBA of third persons? Because think about it, managing 6 actives and your abilities, it takes a lot more attention and focus than just 3. So do you guys think that maybe that was a possible consideration?
I don't think
that's a great question.
Overprime is a MOBA first, though. I think it's a brawler first, MOBA second.
I would have to disagree.
I disagree with that too.
It's different.
You do have a lot of team fights, yes, but that's still a MOBA. Overwatch is a MOBA if we're really looking at MOBA, right? But like even the tower,
but Overwatch is still a stretch.
There's only one tower, one inhib, but there's still the aspects of a MOBA. It's all there, it's just you're more fast paced, more action. It's more action packed is really what it comes down to in that situation. So yeah, I can't agree with that not being a MOBA. But to your point, JPI, like, I do think because of the actives and like what Medkit was getting at too, I do believe because of the lack of actives in Predecessor, we do have the easier port option for that situation.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you could tell that they designed it from the ground up to include controller, and that way it like you can even just without thinking about it too much try to map it out yourself on an Xbox or PlayStation controller.
And I had a friend message me day one, hey, I tried a controller and it feels so good. I'm like, all right, sweet. I was like, I asked him what to do. Like, what was it like for the aim assist? And he's like, he was playing Grux. I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be hard to figure out aim assist on Grux. I was like, let me know when you play a range character, what you feel like the aim assist.
Character.
But, give me that. Like, let me know what it feels like. Cause I don't play controller anymore. So I don't know, but I'm definitely interested and anybody in chat, if you run a controller on Pred, let us know give us your feedback. Aim assist, is it too strong? Is it not strong enough? Does it feel good? What's going on? Like how does controller feel? Because it does have full controller support, so it's good to hear.
It's funny. I've been thinking a lot about the active discussion, right? And I played Overprime's last test, and they did have a lot of actives. I remember having 3 or 4 actives on me at once, and there's definitely an additional learning curve to having to understand what they do on top of what you do, on top of when you should use it, and getting really efficient with that. And I look at the MOBA genre, and I'm coming from, I've been playing MOBAs for a long time. I've played them all. I have a lot of experience with them, but I'm more specifically recently coming from Unite, and there's a lot of people who that was their first MOBA, and Unite is like barely a MOBA in the sense that it doesn't have a lot of these like in-depth building features and core elements, core mechanics. And so I'm explaining some of this stuff to them, and it made me realize how like nice and smooth the onboarding for Predecessor is. Like, it's actually incredibly simple, and while some of that simplicity feels like it's nuance that could have been lost, it also feels really inviting, and I don't hate it. So you have wards. Well, you don't have to buy them, you just have them, and you have to manage your cooldowns. Okay, that's simple enough. You have your blink, and then junglers have their wild hunt like smite, right? Well, you didn't have to plan to take that into battle, and you didn't have to build a mastery page before going into the match and build your stats out, and you don't have to think about the 5 different actives. And I thought to myself, man, this would be a really good MOBA to get into if you've never really dove into the genre before. Or this would be a really good MOBA to invest in early when there is only 20 heroes, if you don't know all the kits and all of the interactions and the matchups. And I thought, damn, like the onboarding here is so nice. And, me wanting to get people into the game, or just people putting their eyes on the game, something like it for the first time, I think that's a really big selling point for them. Now, does that appeal to the more hardcore MOBA player? Maybe not necessarily, but I don't really feel like this game felt casual to me, right? Like, it doesn't feel like it's lost any of that competitive nuance that a MOBA has, and you still have your item trees and your lane management and the last hitting, and you still have all the core elements of like a serious competitive MOBA, but it's like a little less rough around the edges.
For sure.
But now see, I'm being the villain now, because I'm gonna. So I completely agree with everything Krash said. I mean, they made a lot of really awesome design choices. But I've been lately thinking about this comparison, and I really don't like it. And now I'll tell you what comparison I'm speaking of, or thinking of rather. I kind of feel like in the 3D MOBA space, I'm not including Smite because I feel like they're on their way out. No offense to the Smite players. It's, Smite's had its time at the top as king, and I think that Smite's reign is coming to a close. Now with Predecessor and Overprime, I kind of see like in the terms of the way that the gameplay is, Predecessor seems more like League of Legends, and Overprime seems more like Dota, in that in Overprime you have some people think in Predecessor some things are unbalanced. In Overprime it's like on another level, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe that they're just going to make everything overpowered, and thus it's kind of even, and then Predecessor is more in lines of League and how that gameplay pans out. But what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think it's a fair comparison to use the Dota and League of Legends. Maybe it doesn't match up to a T, right? But but at the end of the day, that's essentially what it is. Because when people look at the top-down MOBA market, there's two main groups that stand out. That's Dota 2 and League, right? So when people look at these 3D MOBAs, and of course, excluding Smite, even though I will say Smite knows how to hold on, even though it's been dying for a while. They brought back skins and licensing. They brought back hype to the game, concurrent players. That's a whole different story on that one. But when you sit here and compare these two, even similarities in characters, there, like we've said it before, there are characters in Dota that you can find that exact same fucking character in League, just slightly tweaked.
But let's be clear, Dota came up with it first. Just like a lot of the characters.
Well, it depends on which character. But fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
But and that's the thing. Like people are gonna see these two specifically if you're not too well like acclimated with the whole Paragon vibe. Similar to Krashy, for example, like he's just coming in as a MOBA player. Mm-hmm. So he probably has a very similar view as like, hey, these are two very similar games, but at the same time completely different. And let's just say 30 heroes from now, when they have a good variety of their own unique heroes as well, And as the games progress, their maps change and etc. These games will develop to be their own thing. They're just so similar right now because of these epic assets. That's really what it comes down to.
And it's funny you say that, because I already view them as completely different games. Like I don't think that like Paragon, the Overprime, and Predecessor play very similarly at all. Almost, I think we're looking at a game that like they look like parallel versions of each other just in heroes alone, and that can only go so far. Like we're already on completely different maps. There's completely different forms of travel. They're completely different item shops. The UIs are different, probably mostly in favor of Overprime. But the point is that like I look at the two games and I've even questioned myself, because I see why we have to have the discussion about them competing against each other. But I wonder how easy or how not easy, how plausible is it that they actually just exist parallel no matter what?
I think it's very plausible.
I think it's very plausible.
Because Mangu said this on For the Minions yesterday. He said that you take the Paragon IP out of it and just have them have their heroes and let them have their heroes, and just give new skins to all these ones and have their all different skins. We wouldn't have this comparison.
Yeah.
Nobody would be sitting here talking about this. We would just be talking about, oh, there's 2 third-person MOBAs coming out.
I even think it's
possible to the point that you have Overwatch and Paladins playing together. You have, you have these games that are similar. They're not identical, but they are similar, that can actually sit and have them play. Dota and League of Legends. You can have that. Like it's nothing that says you can't have these games play together at the same time. It's very plausible in my opinion.
I think it's even extended itself into the discussion about paid early access, because I think to myself, like, imagine Overprime wasn't a game at all. Like it didn't exist. Would anybody say anything about, oh, paid early access? What's that about? It's like, I don't think so. Like the pay, and again, my biggest thing, like the linchpin and the argument, like the reason why I'm completely fine with paid early access is like, dude, for 14 days, those bundles give crazy value for the money you're paying. Crazy value. You're getting 25 heroes alone, then the currency, then whatever skins you whichever bundle you buy. And so, like, if there was no Overprime, would anybody even bat an eye about paid early access? Maybe a little bit, but like overall, like these games are so vastly different. And when I played both, I instantly knew which one I preferred more, which is Predecessor. But I didn't look back at Overprime and think like, oh, what a bad game. I was like, oh, that was fun. Like I had a good time. Like I played a little bit of ranked. I got familiar with some of the characters that I have never heard of because I didn't play Paragon. And then now I'm back on Pred and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like my game that I want to play. But yeah, they're very, very different. And I think that they could easily coexist.
I think you would get pushed back for the paid early access just because Fall did the same thing, and only because of the fact that this is a game that was already free to play, where this was already created. This is Paragon. It's already been done. What do you guys do? What are you devs doing? This game was already made. Just put it out there for us to play it. You guys aren't even doing anything. It's already given to you for free. Let us play it now. That that's the mindset of the ignorant consumer that doesn't know exactly what all goes into it.
I call them Kai brains.
I had someone on one of my streams and they were like, well, it can't be too hard to make the game. It's like it was already all there. And I was like, no. Yeah, okay. I was like, come on. I was like, dude, they got the assets, sure, but it's not like they just like, you know what I mean? They didn't. That up. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know, man. Like I know a little bit about game dev, but I don't know very much. And I'm very critical of developers, historically speaking. But like that one's a little much. Like they didn't just like smack it on there.
Stretch.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They were given a 500-piece puzzle and said, "Here you go."
Exactly.
Put this together,
that's a really good way of putting it.
And it's like, and it's a good puzzle. Once you get it together, it's gonna be great. But you got to put it together. It's not just like, all right, we laminated the puzzle already put together for you. We're handing it to you. It's already done. We just get to go ahead and take it. It's not like that.
Yeah, and I'll tell
IKEA
you
is a good example.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys why I feel Predecessor will at least win out in the EU and NA regions, and it's just because of this. Now they're both very fun games, and I really enjoy them both, but with Overprime and Travel Mode, that's to me the biggest factor, because with Travel Mode, what invariably, like whether you want to acknowledge it or not, what happens is in any 1v2 situation, it basically makes the player that's by himself, it's impossible to escape. Like if you're up against two competent opponents, you're never escaping because of the way that Travel Mode works fundamentally. And that's why, for me, Predecessor is, in my eyes, even though I love both games, Predecessor is the winner because it's still a level playing field, even if in that 1v2 situation, because the player that's in the one, the player that's alone can actually outplay the two. I mean, you can outplay the two in Overprime 2, but you should never escape. If you're against two competent players, you're never escape. That's it. Sorry, because one player always has their travel mode up when you don't. And in Predecessor, you can make that escape. You can, because there is no travel mode. Some characters have faster move speeds or whatever, and there are some slight differences here and there. And some items give move speed, but it's not an impossible situation. In Overprime, in competitive, you're never going to see the one player escape from two players. Never. It's never going to happen. And
I'll just throw this out there again, as someone that's coming in not Paragon related at all. I hated travel mode. I absolutely hated it. It felt gimmicky. It felt like a cool attempt. I was like, oh, that's cool. Haven't seen somebody do this. But I hated it. And I don't know. I don't even have I tried to think of an idea of how they could change it that I wouldn't hate it, but I think I just hated everything about it. And then when I got my hands on Pred, and I was like, I felt more grounded to the game. And I was like, the pacing of this and the feel of this feels right. And I was like, and having my one blink that's on a 5-minute cooldown, I was like, this feels right. I feel like I'm supposed to be here, and I know when I make a dumb decision, I can maybe get away. And I don't know, there was just some really gimmicky things that happened with travel mode for me when I was playing, and I was just like, not for me.
Yeah, and some of the heroes that you've been having fun with, Crashy.
Oh god. Okay, so I'm big one-tricking jungle right now, just because I've been jungling for 12 years, and so I just want to lab it out as much as possible. But I think that I broke Kalari. I think I've made this character completely broken, and I don't know if anybody builds it like me, but we can talk about that in a little bit. But I'm also we
won't talk about that.
He said, let's not make that public.
We don't need the masses to know about that.
I don't know.
For breakfast.
He's gonna make a video anyway.
No, I already did, but I've changed the build since then too. But I swear I feel like I've generally heard Kalari's not great, and I'm like, this character feels crazy.
I just don't want her to be great, so I tell people
that's fair.
Don't play her. I can't stand her. Literally my least favorite hero across all these games.
I feel like Rampage is absolutely busted, so I've been playing a lot of Rampage. And then
busted. Hold up, stop, time out. Hold on, Rampage, the guy, the frog that throws the rock.
Yeah.
I get so many people tell me that he literally is pointless, worthless, don't even use him.
I think he's probably the best character. He's probably one of the best characters in the game.
One of the best junglers.
He's a frog?
That's what
he's a frog?
Yeah, that's what I got caught on. I'm like, he's a frog? What?
There was somebody in your Discord that said that he was even bad or whatever, and then we jumped in that game. That first day we had to play the game.
I fucking destroyed it with Rampage, bro. I destroyed it with Rampage. I said on stream in front of the person, I felt bad too, but I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If anybody says Rampage is bad, that probably just means you're bad with Rampage.
And one of my
people tell me that.
One of my personal favorites lately is Jungle Steel. That's one of my personal favorites.
That's a nice one. A lot of CC, bro.
I love it. It's so fun. Just come out of the jungle swinging. So good.
Instant CC lock.
Is he not a frog? What are your guys' opinion? All right, J-Pie, is he a frog or no? What do you think he is?
Listen, I'm right now looking on an external hard drive because I have a picture of somebody holding a jacked frog. And this was
what?
Yeah.
This frog.
What the fuck you got on your hard drive?
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. Because Paragon was
it's not external though, just for
fuck you up.
Yeah, listen, Paragon was the first game that inspired me to get into streaming. So I made all
he
my
was a Ninja
alerts.
Turtle?
Yeah. I listen, I made all my alerts Paragon oriented, and then I came across this picture of this incredibly jacked frog that looked exactly like Rampage, and I'm looking for it right now. I'm going to send it to Windu and he can show it on stream.
All right.
Once I find it.
I will say though, I always got Davy Jones sort of vibes, like Pirates of the Caribbean, like very squid-like person, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the vibes I always got from it. I mean,
me too.
Okay.
I'll
Fucking rampage.
agree to disagree on the frog part.
We're about to prove you all
Gorilla,
wrong. I'm just
froggish,
saying.
fish, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
He gives me like sea creature vibes. Yeah.
Right.
I
Like
love his look. I love how he's
definitely a sushi guy.
I mean, I think if a frog had a beard, it would look like tentacles, though. Okay, that's what I'm just saying. He's a frog with beard.
Interesting.
Okay, you guys are about to change your mind once I find this picture. I'm telling you.
Okay, all right. But
Squid frog.
but no, so I kind of want to double back a little bit with you guys. We mentioned a little bit the controller support, the keybind 1, 2, 3, and etc. And I do think very thoughtful the choice that they made as far as UI and hey, this is how our keybinds are going to be set up and etc. But I absolutely hate the 1, 2, 3 UI section. I hate that shit. My brain breaks. I go 1, 2, 3 every single fucking time, bro. Like I like here's the thing. There's enough empty space in that area that they easily could have just put 1, 2, 3 side by side and then the rest vertical, right? Or they easily could have come up with something creative. Maybe if you're actually thinking controller and it's a D-pad, right? Maybe 1 on the left, 2 is up, and then 3 is to the right. You get me? But an L shape doesn't even make sense D-pad layout, by all means. So I'm sitting here, I'm sorry, but I look at that corner and I just think, why is that designed that way? I'm trying to think of a logical reason, and the only stretch is D-pad, and that doesn't look like a fucking D-pad. Why?
One little thing
it could definitely be moved, and it doesn't break my brain like that. You know, I hashtag stronger brain. But
Hey,
it's a Florida thing. It's a Florida thing.
What's up, Robbie?
Robbie, how we doing?
Oh my god, I hate him. We made it to throw a window.
Yeah,
I hate him.
Exactly.
Get me out.
About to say
but
that.
my point though, again, like I said, it doesn't break my brain, but I can definitely see it. There's definitely a room in there, to do it either way. You could put all 5 of your items down the bottom, and then stack your 1, 2, 3 could be your actives on the right, either way, or vice versa. It don't matter. Like I get your point.
I do like the passives vertically stacking, like all the passive items vertically stacked off to the side. Like it's still there, informative, but not taking up too much.
It's passive.
Well, yeah, besides your crest, agreed. But and I'm okay even having those there. It's just the actual layout. I guess it was just trying to make a neat little stack in the corner. That's the only argument I can really see for it, right? But I gotta say, besides that, UI wise, I personally do find it simplistic. I don't think it's bad by any means, but I do find it simplistic, and I really do hope that there's a little bit more of a flashier UI down the road. You sent the picture?
Yeah, that's Rampage.
Yeah, check it.
All right. I'll check it. Hold on.
That is Rampage. I don't know how that's not.
Exactly. Show him.
He obviously is clean shaven. Rampage. He doesn't have the beard.
What even is this?
That's Rampage.
That's like
does look like he can hurl some boulders.
Yeah, that was like Rampage in high school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
when he was small.
yeah.
Bro, what the?
He's even got the tiny back legs and the big front legs. Like that's Rampage.
Back when he was only benching 500 pounds.
Yeah. This frog obviously skips leg day. He needs to work on that.
I mean, so does Rampage.
Yeah, but you can't spell legendary without leg day. All right.
True.
Chat's like baby ramp, bro. We had baby Yoda last year. This is baby ramp, bro.
So
why is that even a thing? What?
Yep. So he's a frog.
So
go ahead, Krash.
UI talk.
Confirmed here on the Predcast. Got it.
Oh my god! All right, on the UI talk.
So on the UI talk, it's really interesting because I look at Pred's UI and I really don't hate it, but it does have a very simplistic look to it, and I think the only thing that absolutely annoys me is just like how big some of the stuff is, and I just want to scale it. Like if I could scale the shop down into like a window, if the shop wasn't the entire screen and it was just like a much like 30% reduction, 25% reduction, I think I'd be happy. So scaling, that'd be cool.
Scale slider.
I think that definitely is something they can do, and I'm not really worried about it. But realistically, even from like if I'm just looking at the game and I'm like, oh, the UI, like I would change this, blah 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 blah. It doesn't, like, the functionality of it doesn't like pull me out of the game. Like it's not bad to the degree of like, oh, I hate the game, I hate the UI.
Is actually better than their last one.
Yeah, and I remember because like I remember when the last one, it had like all the items on the bottom right.
Yeah, my issue with that is they went and they changed the UI. Like, how did you settle on this? Because this one's still not the greatest. Like, how did we like? You know what? Let's just it seems settling to me. Like literally, hey, let's just do this instead of getting the perfect UI, what we need, because they're gonna have to change it, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people griping about the UI. All right. And legitimate gripes. So they're going to have to change it. So it's like you went in, you were making these changes and you settled for this one. This is what it seems like to me. I could be wrong. They might not have settled, but that's what it feels like.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's meant to be iterative, right? Like, I mean, like you look at throughout, I mean, again, I kind of hate doing this because I feel like it's something that happens in MOBAs a lot where people will compare new MOBAs to old League. And I hate doing that, but I'm going to do it here. If
it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different iterations of League UI. I feel like I've seen at least like some of the core ones, like the really, really old League UI. And so I definitely think that like what we have now, it can change. And again, I'm trying to ground myself in that, like we are in early access, and I'm looking at the game from like just the core gameplay perspective, and it's like they nailed that, and like anything else that comes as a result of like future development leading up to launch that can make the experience better is like it's just going to be iterative. And so whatever UI changes, whatever feedback we can give them that like is really, really core to like what exactly do they need to fix about the UI, that's where I think we can probably help the most and deliver that best feedback.
I'm not saying Robbie's taking notes right now, but because this is obviously going to be in a recorded format, so let's actually give some feedback right now. And Robbie actually just said wanted to get so he's the first. We didn't completely rework our UI. We basically updated the textures. Wanted to get more feedback from users with all the new stuff we're introducing before we refine it again. All right. We could definitely give some good feedbacks right here, right now. Again, it's going to be recorded format. And I know the devs go back and rewatch this when it's available. So let's give that feedback. We can't
make it.
All right. So I have one small feedback about the UI, and I'm pretty sure the devs already know about this, but it's the color contrast on the abilities. Right now, there's like this gold on gold combination. The previous combination during the stress test, in my opinion, was better because it was black on the background, the timer was red, and the number in the middle was white. There was lots of contrast, and it was easy to kind of tell, like, okay, my ability is on cooldown. Right now, it's like this gold on gold thing, and me personally, is just my opinion, I preferred the colors from the stress test, just the colors. Like, I like the layout and everything. It's just the color contrast on the abilities right now. That's all just
right, so Medkit doesn't want Midas touching the UI.
I just got that.
It's too much gold.
Jesus.
I'll chime in next because I have some feedback. I personally really like the UI. I mean, with the corner that you guys mentioned, for me as a streamer, it's like a dream come true because I get to put my webcam and not block anything. And I don't know, I see a lot of streamers blocking a lot of vital information in the game that when I go in and I'm looking, I'm trying to see some information and they're blocking it, and it confuses me. Now, a bit of criticism is when you're buying items, you have on the left side where you can, this is all I do now. You see like physical power and health, and you click 2 and it automatically filters all the items. And I think that's great, but it's not obvious because it took me a while to figure that out. I was trying to figure out what is more obvious, which is like the roles that they have up there. And it's like these weird symbols. And I guess like one is brawler, one is everything, one is, I don't know what the symbols even mean, but I initially started to use those symbols, and then I'm like, nah, I can't figure this out. It's too much for me. And then I just started clicking on the left. So
bro, I just want to say I love your new webcam. I'm just going to throw that shit out there, bro. That shit is so fucking dynamic.
It just zooms you in every time. You move your hands, it's like zoom in. No.
Holy shit.
Keep it, dude.
I was trying to hold it in so bad.
Oh my God, bro.
All right.
I was about to say, I will say though, here's my thing. UI wise, I think Krashy brought up a great point. Some sort of slider or just adjustment size. It doesn't need to be the most intricate UI, right? as long as we can have enough. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm one of those people that ends up blocking stats, like JPie's saying, because I'm like, okay, so the size that I like my webcam, right? I'm like, okay, so I want to have it in the bottom corner. I'm either going to end up covering some of the actives, or I'm going to end up covering the KDA, right? So I'm like, okay, it's, for me, it's a lose-lose. I just leave all my items active and my KDA gets covered. And it's like, bro, what's your KDA right now? Watch the game. You'll see what the fuck happens. You'll know my KDA if you're watching the match, bro. I promise. Like, it's, I really would like to see that a little bit more refined. Personally, I'm a-okay with the actual level progression section to be relocated further to the right, because I think it actually does fit perfectly between the health bar and that first active, if they really wanted to. And then it really does create a bottom left section that's specifically for chat, and then a streamer could easily just block the chat. You get me? Like, if something gets blocked, we all know it's going to be chat. None of us want the stream to see what we're typing. But it's, I don't believe you.
I do. I'm open. I like, everybody will know about it.
But what I think my biggest gripe about the UI is just that little corner, quite frankly. And then if I had to be really nitpicky, I would just really prefer like updated animations eventually, as far as the shit that pops up in the middle of your screen, instead of feeling like it's just a clip art that shows up on the screen. Something a little bit more alive at times, like, hey, you just got Fangtooth, or you double kill, whatever the fuck, right? We've seen certain games iterate stuff like that pretty good. But
I don't know, the UI does pop up for that, and I think the UI visually is there. I think the issue is you're not getting the audible cue that you to know to look at that the visual that pops up.
Oh,
right, because you audibly, like, you could, it's hard to hear, like, oh, they just got Fangtooth, right? You also did the noise happen, or I don't know what it is, but the announcer just, we need JPie to be the announcer, something could bring that enthusiasm or something. Like, I know who the announcer is, and I really enjoy the guy, but like, it doesn't, like, I don't know what it is, but it's not popping, right? So that needs to happen. Now, that's not UI conversation, but that the announcer does need to change, because again, I've had people tell me, like, hey man, I get a 4 kill or whatever, a quad kill, and I just don't feel it. I'm not getting that excitement because I just got. You're talking about
Jedi, or was it Jelly News? I don't know. But Ace, my vote is yes. My vote is yes.
No,
my vote on his question is yes.
It wasn't Jelly Knees, but let's not bring up names.
I've had multiple people. It doesn't have to be the For the Mini Crew. I have other people tell me this, and it had the exact same thing. So it just doesn't have the oomph. Like, you're not getting excited because you just got a quad kill or penta kill or whatever. Like, when you go off like that and you double kill, the excitement should just get even bigger from the announcer, and you're not feeling that. Like, it's not being felt by the announcer. My issue is the tab screen, right? When you bring up the scoreboard, it literally, you could be in the middle of the game, you're trying to figure out, all right, let me pull something up. It literally takes up the whole screen. Like there's no transparency to it. There's nothing. Like, it literally is, everything's taken up, right? The way you look at it, right? It's your team down and then their team down, right? So there's no way to like sit there like, all right, now we got to look, all right, I have this many kills, all right, now I got to find my counterpart. Where's he at? He's got how many kills? Where am I? How am I? What's happening? Am I winning this lane? What's going on? And then it's a lot to read, and it just takes a lot, and you need to make that a better situation for somebody to read, because when you're pulling up the scoreboard, you're pulling up to actually get a lot of information, and if you're taking forever reading that, then you're actually losing in the situation, because in a MOBA everything's time-based, and you got to get there at a certain time.
Now, I don't know. This can kind of tie into UI, I suppose. But if I had to give my number one feedback, and again, this is just coming from someone that's played MOBAs, I absolutely detest the way that pings are done in this game. It drives me up a wall that I have to Da Vinci code my way through learning this communication thing, where I have to know the 3 different combinations to get to the thing I want to get. And I've gotten to the point where I just don't ping. Like, I'm serious. I don't actually ping that much. Thank God I'm a jungler, so people don't have to worry about where my missing laner is.
I wish it was stationary.
what I want, this is exactly what I want. I think it would actually work well. The communication wheel can work, but I need that to be like really core pings. Like it needs to be like set core pings, and then I need either a screen that I can go to quickly ping the map, just because I can do it fast. Like I don't want to have to do the button combination. I can move my mouse, boom, ping the thing I want to ping. And also you can ping obscure things like, oh, hey, let's go get this camp. Like you can't really ping that now. Like if I just want to invade their jungle and just ping a camp with my mid laner, like, hey, come here with me. It's really hard to do that, or you can't really do that at all. And so I want like the communication wheel to be like primary things, like enemy missing, or Fangtooth or Prime, like really core things. And then I want the ability to move my mouse onto a map and ping it. Whether that's, I think someone told me in the past you can like free your mouse up on Smite and move your mouse and do it. I don't really play Smite. Yeah. Or having like a screen like Overprime had where you can fully bring up the map and just ping around. But I think that's like going to be really key, is just improving the ping system in general.
What is your guys' thoughts on a customizable?
I was about to say, could we hold on to that? Because I got something to say on that too.
Yeah, because that's next level. What you just mentioned, Krash, is next level. The way Overprime did it was amazing.
It was
Pull
really
up
good.
the map and ping. And guess what? People out there who work for Omida and Predecessor, you guys innovated with like the minion aggro and the eyes lighting up, and Overprime stole it. They saw you because it wasn't in the game before, and then after your test, they stole it. So you should steal that from them. The map pinging, why not? It's just.
I mean, technically, they'd be stealing it from Smite because Smite had it first. Technically.
Wait, the eyes light up in Smite?
I'm talking about the mapping. The mapping.
Oh,
yeah.
Ping on the map.
But I will say though, for those of you that may not know, anybody watching, in Pred, you can ping with your middle mouse button. You can literally just look in a certain direction and ping. Like I can look at the red buff and ping it, and it'll say attack red buff. Or it'll be like, yo, like defend Narbash, attack this person and stuff. So
yeah,
that's cool as far as pointing click, like, 3D access and everything. But I do think that being able to literally, even if it's just like Smite, where I could just hold left alt, you hover right over that mouse and just left click wherever the fuck I want to left click. And if I just spam right around their red buff, they know, hey, somebody look in this fucking direction. So
Hey, Smokey.
I would be okay with that.
Oh, we got Smokey in here too. All right, we popping. So what are your guys' thoughts on a customizable chat wheel or whatever, comms wheel, right? Like you have a list of, and so before you go into game in your settings, and you can have in settings you have a chat wheel options, right? And you can have enemy missing left, and you can just customize your chat wheel to be what you want it to be. Like, hey, I want this first section to be all jungle stuff because then maybe I'm a jungle main, right? And then I want the next section to be all this, whatever. Then you just have to you can just kind of go into it, kind of like how you customized your stream deck, right? You get to make it your own stream deck. You get your own buttons, how you want it laid out, something like that. Is that, I don't know how hard that is for devs or not, but something like that, you just be like, all right, I'm gonna go through and do all these comms, and it's not it might be harder for console now that I say that, actually, because console, you got to do the fucking contra fucking password just to get everybody to go left lane. But
well, I mean, I'm assuming they already have like a way to use the current built-in communication wheel on a controller, since there's controller support. I haven't touched it, but I would be fine with that. It's weird because it almost feels like we have the communication, or like the ping system and the communication system being like tied together. That's where I'm like having a problem with it. Like I like the idea of the communication wheel, like, or I mean, that's kind of what it makes me think of. It's a square or whatever, rectangle. But in like Overwatch, you can like quickly ping something, like you bring it up with like an instant with your mouse, boom, back up, regroup, blah 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 blah. And I want it to function a lot like that. And then I want a lot of the free pings to just be at the player's like hand, like you just move your mouse and ping. And so having them kind of tied together, that's where I'm feeling like a little bit like I don't really care for it. And I wish that we could, and if it is customizable, that'd be cool. Or they could just condense that menu down to like some of the really core ones that are mostly communication focused as opposed to actual pings. Now, if it has a ping tied to it, that's fine. But it could be, it could be like dual purpose, like
the preset keybinds for Rocket League, for example. How you can have preset pings. So in Rocket League, you can set your D-pad and each button will be a specific phrase that you chose out of a list, right? So for example, I can choose a ping that says jungler is here. So the moment I hit that button on the D-pad, no matter where I'm pointing, jungler's here, jungler's here, jungler's here. Because that's a freaking ping I use. I could have retreat on there. I could have good job. Or I could have just attack. Whatever direction I point, it'll be attack, attack, attack. You get me? Like you could do simple pings and just let the players choose. I don't think it'll be a bad idea to maybe come up with something creative like Rocket League has at that point.
Yeah, and as far as coming up with custom ping, this is, I mean, now I feel like I'm asking for too much, but if we had custom pings, then they could even do like a custom ping loadout. So like you could have like 5 slots for custom pings, and then you customize them per whichever role you're playing. So like if I'm jungle, I'm not going to want the enemy missing mid ping on my main wheel, right? So then I would have like 5 different selections, and then like pregame, you know, you pick which one you want to use. Again, that's, now I feel like I'm asking for a lot in that sense, as opposed to just having like a kind of one size fits all communication or ping system, which would probably be a little bit more accessible for the devs in the short term. Yeah, a bit more realistic in the short term.
Yeah, no, I think the customizable one would be more of a long term, you know, like, hey, when
that would be great.
When we're sitting here at leagues level and we got 300 some heroes, you know, we can now add in a really cool, you know, comp system that, you know, customizable, you make your own. And you could, but you'd still have the default one if you wanted to, hey, the default be the whatever one our short term, this is what our comm wheel looks like. Long term, we can make it you customize as you want.
And again, I think to kind of like press on my point, because I want to make sure that like my feedback's really clear. I don't hate the way that pressing C and moving through those menus feels. I just hate that it's the only way to ping certain things. Like it can be both. Like you can actually have a system where you have the same ping, you can just do it 2 different ways, and I'd be fine with that. So like pressing, gosh, I can't even remember what it's like. It's like attack, camps, fangtooth. That's something I do often as a jungler. That ping could be the exact same thing as me pulling up my mouse and pinging the fangtooth. It could literally feel, sound, look in exactly the same way. There's just 2 different ways to do it. So if they want to like keep that system in place, I'm totally cool with that. Well, this is weird. It's like Crashception. I'm in the corner and I'm in the middle. Okay. I looked over. I was like, wait a minute. So they could have they could have both. But I definitely hope that there's a way to physically move my mouse and ping. That's a big one for me.
Okay. So I want to catch up on these before we get too far up there. Robbie does ask what we are thinking of moving the kill UI to the middle. All right. Now, I personally don't know. Are we talking about like when you get a kill, like, hey, Sparrow killed Bellica, and that's going to be in the middle of the middle
right
of
now,
the screen?
that notification is on the top left. He's saying move it to the middle, so it's more obvious that a player killed this player.
I don't care for it to be in the middle. Like, I'm not for or against it. I think the pictures need to be better, right? Because especially Sparrow and Bellica, you put those pictures side by side.
They're sisters, bro.
You have to look. Like, wait,
let me tell you.
Bellica kill Sparrow?
Who's looking left? Who's looking right? That's all.
It's like, which one is it?
Well, let me tell you. I had a game where I was like, oh shit, Bellica's popping off. I got to build against her, and I'm building magic defense, and I see it's fucking Sparrow. Like, fuck that whole
so
game,
those
and then she just
being where it's at, I'm actually okay with it being where it's at. If you move it to the middle, I'm okay with that too. I'm not like there. I just think those pictures to explain that, right? And I think it's more the announcer like letting you know that the kill is happening, right? That I'm not hearing that. Like, and I have my sounds are pretty up there, but I'm not hearing that, and that's my big thing. Also, before we go too far, Smokey talk about the ping system. Sort of Smokey says pinging a map on controller doesn't sound as easy. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of the overall conversation, right? Like you have to kind of consider that.
I just thought press a button, right? Let's just say something random like L1, right? You press a button. Now your right joystick is free now. You can still walk around the map, but your right joystick is free while you're on auto run. You move your joystick to wherever you want. Fucking hit X. Bing. That's it.
I had the same idea.
Like I'm pretty sure that's a lot more simplistic than it really should be as far as like thought process wise.
So
does anyone in chat know what button it is for the ping, the quick ping? Like for us, it's middle mouse button, but does anyone in chat know for controller what button that is?
So Demande says, and with that reply, somebody replied something like that, Window, and the reply was, the problem is using sticks to make a precision ping is horrible. Think about how bad precision dropping an airstrike is on COD.
Hey man, I'll be honest with you. That's just going to come down to sensitivity and the individual controller player at the end of the day. Right, and like sensitivity and speed,
sensitivity settings for map ping. So like that, like if you have a button that pulls up the map, or if you have a button that frees up your analog stick to ping, then give that its own sensitivity. You know what I mean? Again, I feel like every time I have to ask for more, it's like we're just going deeper and deeper in the pit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like trying to ask for more and more features. But and again, like I'm coming from Pokemon Unite. You could ping the map on a controller in that game, and it's what it does is you press the map button, it like expands the map, and then it frees up your stick. And so then you quickly move your thing over, and they have a sensitivity tied for that specific cursor. So it's definitely possible. Also, I was going to say, again, I don't play Smite, but what do they do for controller pinging in Smite? Because it's, we know they have the map ping feature. So, just it's definitely possible, I suppose, is the best way to look at it.
Chat's saying the way I mentioned it is how Smite does it. By the way, Medkit wanted to say something.
We just said home. We wasted 30 minutes on this whole conversation about pinging and all that stuff. And Sergeant Smokey just said, "Let's be honest, good job is the only useful ping." So,
oh yeah. And
my most pinged would be attack Fangtooth.
Fangtooth.
That would be my most used.
And I just want to answer RGS Ace's question about the notification of people getting kills, because I was playing Dota the other night, and there was an Ursa who was popping off double kill, and it's up there in the top center, triple kill, rampage, godlike, and you see it and you get hyped because you're like, yeah, that's my teammate, and then you see him on the map and you try to support him, and he's just, I do like it at the center top. I love the way Dota does it. Different games, I have different I feel some games do it better, but I really like to see it at the top center there.
My vote is yes on as well. I would like it to be in the middle rather than the top left.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they did that in Predecessor. I'll be honest, I didn't even know that. I'm always like so super focused on what I'm doing, and so.
What's in the middle right?
Middle right.
You're gonna say something?
I feel like a UI element that pops up for the kills too. Like, as much as I don't know that this should matter, it would be really good for like montagey moments, like having it like pop up in the middle of the screen, like as opposed to it being like out in the corner. Like, yeah, I think it would be like really good for like just the content side of things. Like,
for the
really
shorts.
Cool.
Yeah, that is true. Yep, TikToks and shorts. That'd be, you kind of zoom in the center of the game. So yeah, that'd be in the middle. So I guess you just changed my mind. I don't care either way. That does make more sense. I'm okay with that. So then I can see it says the Bearded Wolverine killed Medkit like that. I would love to put that on a TikTok. So let's go.
Yeah.
I fucking can't, bro. I got a question. Unless you guys want to talk about this subject a little bit further, right?
No, I'm good. I'll be honest. I'm done with pings. I'm done with it.
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay. Stop talking about pings too.
I fill up pings.
Go ahead, Windu.
All right. So we all got to experience, everybody in this specific chat got to experience it a little bit early compared to everybody else. But now we've gotten to be a little bit more in depth with all these items. The combinations, the new passives, all of the items are quite literally now passives. There really is no actives besides the crest that you choose at the beginning and then the 2 permanent actives you have. So with that design change in mind, you guys like that shit? Or do you wish that you could actually maybe choose an active to put in the crest slot as opposed to it being stuck there, for example? What do you guys think about that overall core decision to simplify the game in that way?
Oh, wait, like swapping out the crest for another active item?
I would like to, or honestly, I'll be real with you. There's moments where I'm like, honestly, I kind of wish I could sell this crest and just put a passive in that slot, just like another beefy item. There's moments where I'm like, honestly, I'm the carry. Let me just build more pen or some shit like that. You get me? Like I wish that I could had that ability to sell that crest and replace it with a normal item. So some people really like it.
I'll touch on items as a whole, and I could be speaking a little too early here. I feel like this is definitely a premature opinion, but it's where I'm at right now. I look at the actives and where it's at, and again, could the game have more actives? Would I be fine with that? Yeah, I would. But I do like appreciate it from the onboarding perspective. I do think it's really inviting that there's only one active, and I also think that picking your crest almost feels like it kind of feels like one of those things that you can almost like identify with, like, oh yeah, I'm a this kind of player. Like I really like Epoch, I think is what it's called. Like like I like that kind of epic. Is that what it's
or like Phoenix or something? Yeah, I get you.
So you can it almost
like a unit of time.
It becomes into your it becomes into your like identity as a player and for the hero that you're playing. And so I really like how the crest systems work specifically. Now for items, I feel like maybe I'm crazy. There are so many items in this game.
Yes.
Like there are so many items that I'm like, and more specifically, I've been looking at like assassins and bruisers. There's so many physical items that I'm looking at them all. And I feel like some of the items have way too much stat overlap. And I could be crazy, but like there's like crit and attack speed on like everything. And I feel like some of the items have just literally everything that I look at some of these other physical items and I'm like, I can't afford to touch that item. Like that passive is cool, but I can't afford to touch it whenever this other item has like a busted passive and has like all the same stats, even if the stats are a little bit different. So I think, and again, this is premature, but I think some of these items are going to have to like lose an entire stat line. Like some of these attack speed items might need to lose crit. Some of these attacks, but like some of these physical items might need to lose their pen. Like you might need to cut the items in a way where it's like, this is because you want pen and because it has a cool passive, or you're getting this because you want the passive, but unfortunately it doesn't have the stat line you want. But some of these,
like a give and take relationship, it should be for an item.
Yeah, there's some beefy items for sure in here.
You bring up a great point. There's literally an item that'll give you, 35% pen on a physical damage, right? On top of that, you're going to get 20% crit. On top of that, you're going to get damage. You're going to get attack speed. And I think it also has like 5 lifesteal attached to it. It's just like, what is this? I don't even know all these items names, bro. I'll be honest with you. I'm still navigating through all these names, but I'm with you. It really should be a more give and take relationship to choosing an item.
You could almost, by taking those stat lines and the multiple passives, you could almost double the items just by splitting them up, like cutting them in half. Like, all right, we're gonna make this an item, make this an item. You can almost double the amount of items we have right now because of with how
but they are. You know why they did that? You only build 5 items. You got to think about it. You have a crest that evolves, but it's due to the fact that you only build 5 items. That's why after the 5th item, you feel like you're full build. You've gotten like stats on stats through those 5 items.
But since you're only building 5 items, and if you were to divide those into half and give yourselves more items to build diversity with, like let's just for easy numbers wise, let's say there's 100 items in the game right now, right? If we divided that, like I said, we split those up, we could have 200 items, right? If we split them up and you're not, so you're taking that item that you said that had the 4 different stats you had with it, right? So let's say it gives you 25 power, it gives you your 30, whatever you said, it gives you 20 crit, right? Let's just say instead it's only going to be power and crit now. This item is now only power and crit, and it's only got 1 passive instead of 2 passives with it. Now it's going to be a 60 power, and it's going to be,
I get what you're saying, compensate for the fact,
and it's going to be a 25 crit, or whatever, something, that way you can then, you're getting more power out of it, but you're not going to have the double passive.
Help me out with is it Demond? Is that how I say his name? Demonde. Okay. So okay, cool. So in response to Demonde's comment saying he mostly builds for the effect, I actually agree. Like I'm mostly building for the effect. It just feels like the stats are so plentiful that building for the effect alone, like focusing on the effect alone, it like never has like a drawback. Like what ends up happening is that I feel like the items that have, and this is where balance is going to get weird, the items that have really, really strong effects, those items I think need to be balanced in the sense of having not necessarily so strong stats. But then if I compare like an item, like for example, I'm going to throw an item out, you can maybe disagree with me or agree with me. I think Mutilator is insane. Mutilator is nuts. Insane. So I look at that item and I think it
looks like an axe stake with eyeballs.
So it literally is power, lifesteal, and you do damage based off of max health.
Steal their health.
Yeah, like it's
your shred item. So like you build that item not really because of the stats, but it also has like great stats on it. And so I'm more so, I feel like lately, if I'm being more specific, because I would have to like actually sit down and flesh this idea or like this whole thought out. I'm looking at a lot of the attack speed items. It just feels like getting a lot of physical power and attack speed and crit feels so easy. Like it feels like getting all of those is just so crazy. Like I feel like I haven't done the math on it because I don't really play carry, but I feel like hitting like 100% crit's probably not even that hard.
Bro, it's not.
It's easy.
Yeah, no.
Your two of your
crest-
3 starter crests have 20% crit. So you literally only need to build 4 out of the 5 items with 20% crit. Like you literally can have 100% and still have a free slot.
There's a way you can build 100% crit on Drongo and not even have a marksman crest. You can get away with using an assassin crest using resolution.
Yeah, and
Resolution
honestly,
Vanquisher, and then you need, I think, 2 more items for 20% crit. 20% crit, you'll reach 100. You have 2 items that don't give you crit, but you'll still be at 100.
Yeah.
Demande says all of them have 20% crit, all the crest, all the 80
Yeah.
crest.
Oh, well, there you go. All of them, or even worse.
So
I've had games where I was just kind of trying to lean into crit, and I ended up building more than 100%.
Now there are
Also,
cards
in
that
the item shop,
you benefit.
so hard.
also in the item shop on the very top, there's like an icon you can click and it will show you like subcategories. Like if you hit the bow and arrow, all the items for carry. If you hit the fist, that's all the items for fighter. If you hit the 2 little hands, that's all the items for mages, etc.
Yeah, like recommended items.
Shrink down
So-
all the items that are in your face into one nice little
That's
little
you can't
section.
For what it's worth, I don't actually think this is like a huge issue or anything. Like it's not like something that really bothers me. I just think that it's I look at some of the physical items. Again, these are the items I've been looking at mostly because I'm been jungling. But I look at some of the physical items and I think like, man, that's got a really cool passive on it. But I can't touch this item, like because there's 2 or 3 other items that like I can never pass up because they have like really good stats and a really good passive. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see item balance like iterations surrounding that topic, because I think at that point you have to balance around the passive and then say like, okay, this passive is very strong. Do we pull stats because of that? Do we add stats to other items because of that? So it was just something to talk about, I suppose.
It does take a little time to get used to the items, I admit. I remember when I first played the stress test, it took me a while to connect the names and the icons. Like, for example, I'm looking for Spell Shield. I believe in the stress test it was like Spellbreaker or something, but it definitely there's a lot of items. There's over like 150 of them, and it's a matter of like just if you play the game like enough times, you'll get used to the item names and what the passive does and etc. You get used to it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So-
yeah.
Street brings up the he wants his he wants more actives, and Menace says they want more actives, and he also brings up wanting the bot D and miracles, but I haven't played support in this game, but since there is no actives, how is support in this game? You know, like JPI, you're a support main, so like how is it being a support character, you know, in this game without having actives?
It's a lot of fun. You know, supports. Honestly, I traditionally have hated the support role just because I feel like, like to be a support, you are basically a saint. Like you basically get pooped on all the time. People blame you, and you set your team up for success. And it's like one of those. It's like the offensive lineman of football. No glory, but you're doing backbreaking work. And in Predecessor,
I fucking love this webcam.
In Predecessor, oh man, it's so much fun. You take your pick of which support, and you're gonna have a blast. Muriel, Richter.
But what are you doing as a support if you're
you.
not putting bot D on somebody? You're like, all right, here you go, you got a shield now. If you're not miracle, you're not healing them. Here you go, you got heals now. What are you doing as a support through the game to be a support?
I don't know. I've never. That's kind of one of the ways that I disagree, because I whenever I'm a support, like I always have had actives, and
You're
it's
W King. So you're just a meat shield. That's all you are in this game is a meat shield.
No, because I feel like the support is one of the most impactful roles in all of Predecessor, especially with one of their items. Like I think one reason why it flies under the radar is because it's not something that's readily obvious. You have a support item where you reduce the attack and move speed of a carry by something like 20 or 30%. You have a support item. I think that's what it's called. You have a support item where you Silentium or something like that. You silence an enemy. Like I'm pretty.
How do you silence the enemy?
You look at them and then you click your crest item and it goes boop and they're silenced.
There's a lot of good. Someone said that. There's a lot of good support items. I don't know if you guys went over it while I was gone, but there is a shield active on the crest.
Them not having actives, how are you as a support? Like you don't have bot D, like a bot D similar or a miracle similar. What are you doing as a support besides being a meat shield and
use the right crest, basically?
I play a lot of support. I play a lot of support and a lot more compared to Paragon. I hated playing support back in Paragon, but in this game, the crest really enables you to play that role very well, because in the beginning you have your support crest, you have these orbs floating around you. You just hit the wave, you get gold, right? And that's your way of getting gold. And there's also this diminishing effect where you can't just like take last hits because you're going to be, getting less and less gold each time. I like how they incentivize just, hit the wave whenever you have that orb. Don't take it from the last hits. And not only that, but when you do max out that crest, you get a ton of passive gold as well, and that helps you keep up. You don't fall behind five levels, 2,000 gold, whatever it. Like in my opinion, playing support in Pred, like I've had the most fun playing support in Pred compared to Overprime, Paragon, even, etc.
All right, but I appreciate that. I'm glad you're having fun, but that doesn't answer my question of what does a support do without the actives? You only have 3 active slots, which is one is your ward.
We're not counting the abilities of the support.
But yeah, because
the crest.
Yeah, the support's crest is by far one of the most impactful crests in the game. I mean, can you imagine a Howie going up in the air and then you just silence him and then he just falls down? Just like that.
So it's only your crest is your only active. So that's that's what I'm saying.
Your crest and your abilities, basically.
And then 3 more. You have 3 more active ability, potentially, because I'm pretty sure there's other items. I'll look really quick, but
plus you have the option of dropping 3 wards at a 3 or 4 at a time.
Right. Yeah, you definitely get more wards, but I mean, like so does Predecessor. So does Paragon. I mean, and but like you had. I don't know. I just feel like, again, like we're talking more like we said, we brought up bot D and miracles, right? You have those abilities to heal somebody. Like, here you go. I'm gonna heal you real quick while you're in the middle of a fight, or I'm gonna shield you in the middle of a fight, or whatever. You could build all those actives, and in this game you don't have those actives. So as a support, like support's the one that's going to use the most actives, in my opinion, from the way I played. You have other heroes that can use actives. Right, you can, what was it? You could always in Fault, you could build the stasis. I know that there's a stasis mid, right? You can build a mid crest that gives you stasis or something like that. But
Epic.
Like that's,
I see what you're saying now.
Well, you don't have that. You can't, as a support, you can't build stasis, or yes, you could if you wanted to build the mid stasis one, right? Or is there a support stasis? I don't know that you could literally. All right, we're all stasis right now. We're avoiding the get ult. How does I feel like there was a lot more work for you. You could really use skill expression with a support in Fault.
I mean, that could open up the door.
A lot of that goes to the hero abilities itself.
Yeah, but that could also open up the door for more crest for supports.
Yeah. The crest active is just there to kind of enhance the playstyle. Most of it comes from the abilities, from the actual hero.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't necessarily think that supports are exactly lacking. I do so yes, for example, in Fault and League of Legends, etc., there are a lot more options, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that Predecessor has to follow that same suit. I don't disagree that the crest is impactful, I would prefer, again, like if you want to do something for supports, for example, you can replace your vision in the map. Besides a ward, you could go for the cleansing ward, right? The cleansing radius, whatever the hell it's called in this game. The fucking bird. Thank you. Thank you. Sentry. But instead of doing that, just that, what if the support could go in there and be like, hey, instead of having a potion, I want to do this. Or instead of choosing this specific ward, let me do that. Let me like let the support have support unique items that can actually interchange those 3 actives. Because if I have a Narbash, I don't necessarily need him to have a health pot. Does that make sense?
Or how sick would it be if the support could be the only person in a game that could pick whatever crest they want and it applies the gold section to it?
Oh,
like where they can say, hey, you know what, I'm kind of a tanky support, so I'm going to take this tanky crest, but because I'm in the support role, it's going to add that gold section of the support,
and they can
like the role itself.
They can do that because with the jungle role right now, that's the only way you get the hunt item. You can't get hunt anywhere else.
That's a fair point. They could do something similar.
So you could do something like that. If you pick support, you get the whole you attack the minion wave, you get gold off of that passive.
I think ironic enough, this whole discussion has actually made me realize how like solid the support role in Pred feels, because whenever I've played it a decent amount. It didn't really feel lacking. I didn't feel like I didn't really have much to do. Surprisingly, like I look at all the support heroes in this game and dude, they're like all good. They're all so good. And that could lead us to a discussion about balance in general. But like, I was very, very surprised at like how nobody felt like unengaging to play from the support roster.
I was about to say, like, there are really good items, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
Supports. I'm not saying the supports in the game are bad. I'm not, I'm just saying I'm coming from one game that I know how a supported to where like I'm going here now, and I played the game and I play ADC, right? So I got a support next to me all the time. I'm not saying the support's not supporting me. I'm just saying I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know. I'm not getting that link. I'm not getting, all right, hey, I'm linked now. You're healing me or whatever, or whatever's happening. Or all of a sudden, bam, I just got a shield activated on me. Like besides, Muriel's shield, that's it. Like I'm not, besides their abilities, I don't know how they're supporting me.
Well, so here's the thing though. I'm gonna give a shout out to Purple in the chat because he brings up an amazing support item that I think it's a must as support. That's Time Warp. Time Warp's gonna give you magic damage, physical armor, and a fucking cracked passive. Every time that you cast an ability, it reduces the cooldown of other abilities, not your ult. So you could literally be Decker, Narbass, etc. Just literally sit there, and as you're spamming abilities, your first ability that you casted is already like 35% down or some shit like that. Like it honestly is cracked. And the fact that you get sustainability against that early basic attack, and the fact that you're getting power, that alone is impactful. Because yes, you only do have your kits, but bro, when a Decker can consistently keep throwing stuns at you at a rapid pace, if she's accurate, that's deadly. If you have a Narb
build
and
Time Warp on
fun.
Crunch.
Trust me.
Time Warp on Crunch. Holy shit.
I'm not kidding. Do it. It's crazy. It's actually, it
Time
just
Warp
feels.
is such a good
That sounds
idea.
amazing.
I love
That sounds amazing.
Time Warp on Crunch feels broken.
Crash is no longer allowed on the Predcast.
Oh, I haven't even talked about my Kalari build.
Oh no,
we're not gonna talk about it. I told you this. We've already canceled that.
But yeah, I gotta say, good chat on the items, guys.
Yeah, I would like to see more support items though, because I honestly do think that those actives, it feels really rewarding when you pop it at the right time and you end up saving your carry. And I would like to see at least a couple of them. Some maybe, like you guys mentioned the fault item Bot D where it shielded your allies and
in an AOE. Yep.
Yeah, I mean those items really felt rewarding when you use them at the right time. And obviously,
not when you fat finger them in the all by yourself in the jungle as you're running, down somewhere else. Oh, I just used body.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I do personally feel
I'm not saying from experience.
I did the same thing. And yeah, I hope that they do add more actives for supports, because I don't know if it's a balance thing, because they do feel like they're in a really, really good place, and that just might put them over the top. But I just would like to see at least a couple.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do something with the health pot, because at some point towards the middle and end game, you don't really need that health pot. Maybe they'll think of some way to replace that with another active item.
Well, and the health pot, like again, like what Wendy was saying, like Narbash doesn't really need the health pot. If anything,
Right.
give him a mana pot. You know,
Mana
let him
pot.
have a mana pot. You know, or something. You know, that's gonna help him with that. Or
his passive does also help with mana regen.
Yeah,
but again, that health pot, that whole situation gives them the ability, you know, like that onboarding that Krash you was talking about earlier too. Like it's all taken care of. You don't have to worry about it.
That triggers me. I literally found out about tonics last night. I had no idea they existed.
Oh, those are like the end game.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
No, I'm with you, bro.
Because I was memeing about like, oh, dude, it sucks that I just have 4,000 gold, nothing to spend it on. And then I was like, wait, what? Someone in chat was like, dude, buy a tonic or something. Or
Buy a
something.
tonic,
And I was
yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
They used
Yeah.
to have a level.
I'm with you. I didn't know about that shit till this
weekend.
weekend, like till Sunday. So I'm with you there.
I knew they were in there from the last stress test, but I didn't know if they kept them in there. I just haven't seen them. But there was a change from the last stress test to now that most of the games are ended. Like, you know, I haven't had very many games where I'm like, all right, I'm full build. I'm sitting here with 4K gold. Like,
Yeah.
what do? I haven't had many of those.
I've only had like
it's
3
not-
or 4.
I haven't looked for tonics because I haven't really had that time to like, oh my gosh. So, and then it was just me and Wendy were in a voice chat this weekend, and we looked. Wait, I was like, wait a minute, are tonics still here? And I went and looked, and I found them. Like, yeah, they are still here. So
You can
There
have
could be,
multiple
I
and the-
love
tonics
those.
at
And then you hear
once.
me in the background. What the fuck is a tonic?
I actually have an interesting
gin and tonic.
I actually have an
Kofi,
interesting
thank you for the raid,
idea.
man. Appreciate you.
Because we were talking about how the kind of like the pots could maybe turn into something. I do love the onboarding side of the fact that like you don't really have to think about it, you just get it. I do think that like just like Ward versus Sentry, you could have like a mana pot option. I think that would be fine for them to build. But what also if the pot was a tree item that could upgrade into say 4 or 5 different items, but it was only based on like having that option. I'm going to come up with 2 ideas here because I'm ripping off the top of the head here. What if you could only get that secondary option after like the 15-minute mark, or after your team has secured say 3 Fangtooths? So your team gets 3 Fangtooths, or maybe even make it steeper, 4 Fangtooths. Like if your team is really stomping, then you can upgrade your pot into some kind of another active. It couldn't be too broken, because then you're going to have a team that's already 4 Fangtooths in that has another item. So it couldn't be like a full built item, but maybe just another way to express, playing on the field. Because
like that
you're right.
I like the
If you
time
go
idea.
to a game, I think the time idea is probably better, because then it's accessible
Less
to everybody.
snowbally.
It's less snowbally, so it's accessible to everybody. But that could be a really interesting way to make the pot feel less like negligible towards the late game.
Towards the end game.
Less
yeah.
snowbally, but plus gives you an option if you are behind. If you fight for
Another
that time,
mechanic
like,
or
if we
active
can
or
survive
something.
for this time, I'll get another item and I can do this or whatever, and we could probably make a turnaround, because maybe some of those fights you're just 1 item behind or whatever. Like, or if I just had 1 more item, I could that Gideon all isn't going to do so much damage to me or something. Like stuff like that. So like that would be I do like that.
And
That'd
they
be cool,
can make them
just like a
pretty, they
crest.
can make them pretty general too. They don't have to be crazy actives, right? Like if let's say you get the tank active, it's like, makes you take reduced damage, or it's just like a quick shield on you, something real general. The support active is like maybe a move speed increase,
Like a
And I know
nerf
there's already
version of a tonic, basically. You mean?
Yeah, or like a nerf version of like a crest, right? Where it's like it could act as like an actual like active item that it impacts maybe just more than yourself, but would take over the spot of just having like an extra health pot. Assuming and maybe it would even give the health pot effect on top of it. Like you pop it like it's a health pot, because it would still heal you if you really needed to, but could also do like a secondary thing. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just making this up off the top of my head just to give
No, yeah, you're good.
fuel to the active kind of conversation.
Smokey just brought up something in chat.
I was just going to read it. Go ahead.
Smoke
Yeah,
just-
Smokey said, with more support actives like we had in the past, I personally found hero kits felt less unique. Like, why choose a Narbash if your items can heal? Now, my counter argument there should be everybody has a potion, but nobody's going to heal like Narbash. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's where that balancing and the scaling is going to come into play. Like, just because you have an item that'll give everybody an instant 250 HP does not mean that Narbash healing should still be superior. That's the way that I would see it.
Right.
What do you
I
guys
agree
think?
with you. And then Narbash getting that item as well, it just adds more healing. So it that situation as an ADC man, it just you makes your ADC almost tanky like, because your Narbash can put his heals on and also use that item. And now that ADC is like, man, like I can stand this fight even longer now. Like it just adds to it. So it I don't think it takes away the uniqueness of the hero. It just adds more skill expression, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I would rather err on the side of caution, because if you do introduce those items, you can kind of oversaturate the ability to heal or to shield, so much so that the kits can become irrelevant. Because can you imagine 5 characters all buying a shield item that you pop for shielding? What, like the Muriel is going to be like, what the fuck? What am I even doing? You know?
Yeah, but that's all an item that they have. That now that's also an item they took up in their item slot, right? That Muriel doesn't have to use that item now. That Muriel has 5 item slots that she's able to now express. It's like, I have that. I don't need you. I don't need what you guys are all grabbing right now. I can actually do that myself and actually add everything else to it.
You know, there. I think that there is no right or wrong answer, and
there isn't.
I'm really curious to see how this eventually evolves, because I think now it's easier to criticize the items in that way. But can you guys imagine maybe a couple of years from now, say we have something like 60 heroes, and then in a ranked match we have a legitimate draft where you have bans and things like that. Some of those heroes, like Muriel's shielding or Narbash's healing, is going to play way more into certain compositions than others with the absence of those items. So just playing devil's advocate, but that is something that can play out that way.
Can I just say, I don't know how I feel about a physical damage item that specifically targets people that have a shield on. Like,
Breach? You're talking about Breach?
Whatever the name is. Like, I'm like, literally, if I see a Muriel on the other team, I'm like, I know exactly what fucking item I'm starting first, bro.
Yeah. But not just Muriel, also against Gadget, Richter,
different crests, etc. also can give a shield. So
exactly.
it's a very interesting item by all means. But I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, so if there's a Muriel, I got an item for that. If there's an Arbash, I got Blight. There's an item for that, no problem. They got a Decker, I better hope she fucking misses. You know?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be a cleanse.
Yeah, well,
I mean, fair, but with time warp, that cleanse, I'm gonna get hit by that ball like 20 times in the 2-3 minutes that I'm gonna be able to actually one time. You get me?
There's a bunch of cleanse items.
You guys keep saying that, and I just keep getting that song in my head. Let's do the time warp again.
Never heard
You guys don't know it. You're too young.
Anyway,
Get out of here. You're not old enough to be here.
Your social security's calling, bro.
But you know, Windu, to play off your example, say if one character builds Breach, then this kind of plays into what I feel like is one of the core focuses of Predecessor, and specifically its itemization and building and counter building items. So the Muriel should be paying attention, should take notice of that immediately. Oh, okay, this character has Breach, and then in every fight, Muriel should be like the mosquito that you're trying to kill that you just can't seem to. When it comes to that character with Breach, she should just avoid him, slip, and then, because then not only it's like the character building Breach trying to target Muriel is kind of wasting its time, and I don't know. There's like a lot of interplay there that you can do. And the more that I think about it, the more that I'm kind of leaning towards not. I could understand why maybe they didn't have those active support items.
And I will say, even the argument that Krash made earlier comes into play even with that item in mind, because I was like, hey, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, I'm gonna build this item and fuck up everybody that Muriel's shielding. But I don't want to fuck up my carry build. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some pretty stacked fucking items, and that's not one of the strong ones. Even though it's a cool
assassin.
effect. Yeah, so
technically falls under the assassin sub thing on the item shop.
Okay.
but I want to pose a question to you guys. Number one broken item, go.
Mutilator.
Crunch.
Mutilator.
Crunch.
No, I said item. Not, wait,
Yeah, crunch.
I think that's what he means. Crunch. Yeah.
He and he's broken.
He isn't. He's a big ass. Astral Catalyst is also a really, really powerful one. Like on Fae, any mage with a big AOE.
The reason I say Mutilator is because it's AD and it just fits like 3/5 of a team at any given time. And so I was playing 5 stacks with some friends and we literally were like triple or 4 like person building Mutilator, and it's just like, yeah, like we're gonna build this item because
Mutilator would be my vote for probably the more overtuned items in the game currently.
And so that's the thing. That's why I'm saying, like, I look at that item and I think like maybe because the passive is so strong, like I don't necessarily mean that it's a broken item, therefore it should be nerfed passively, but it's like maybe because it's a really strong passive item, maybe the stats should be low on it. So there's that trade-off. Like, oh, do I rush this because it's going to give me damage, even though it's going to lower the actual like numbers that I'm getting, the stat lines that I'm getting? But yeah, there's a lot of physical items in that one.
I'm with Don Breakable.
What Astral Catalyst does?
So it on a takedown, not necessarily kill. So meaning assists can also count. I'm a Fae, right? I ult like a full team fight, and guess what? After like 3 or 4 kills, my ult is back up.
Yeah.
In like.
Even with
seconds.
assist. So because you altered in a team fight and everybody went into that now everybody who dies from, not from that, but necessarily right after that, your 80, your carry kills all of them, you get that benefits that.
I mean, that's a fair one because
cooldown reduction on your ultimate upon takedowns.
Yeah, it's 25.
Bearded, you saw me do a Gideon ult 3 times in less than a minute, bro.
Yeah, that's broken in my opinion. I'm going to go with Astral Catalyst. I'm going with the Noxus in here, and I'm going. Yeah,
shout out to Nox, by the way.
Yeah, I will say though,
that's insane.
I'm kind of with Don Breakable
I'll take
too.
Mutilator in that situation, and I'm okay with even Time Warp in this situation because you literally have to.
So let me challenge.
Time Warp. No.
Let me challenge because here's the thing. Hold on. Because here's the thing. That one. You have to already be at least at a certain level for you to be able to actually get all those kills and benefit of the full cooldown off of it, right? Like that's a certain stage of the game. But Time Warp, if there is a support that doesn't have Time Warp, I really do believe that support is at a disadvantage in the laning phase.
Technically need it, in my opinion.
He's probably the one that can abuse it the most, in my opinion.
Narbash?
When you use an ability.
He's got the thunk and the march, but then you cast your heal.
You can turn it off and then cast it again. Sort of vibe. I don't know how the cooldown works on that.
It's best on Richter and Decker.
But my point is, somebody that doesn't have Time Warp versus somebody that does can definitely have a lead. And if they have that lead, that's basically like winning the duo lane or winning fights early. Like in these first 10-15 minutes that matter the most, that one item is detrimental for support, in my opinion. But as far as the other one, it's like, hey, you really got to be in team fights and a little bit more late game to take advantage of it.
I knew it. Oh, sorry, I spoke out loud.
Well,
JPI, what's yours?
Flux Matrix. It's the only item in the game that decreases opponents' tenacity by 20%, and it's an AoE. That's it's insane. It's insanely good. And when you see a Richter with that item, he's going to ruin your day. He's going to steal. Another example with the Flux Matrix. It's a nightmare because
also pair that with Fire Blossom.
Oh yeah.
Those ticks do more damage.
What kind of a item is it? Like what's the stats
it looks like a rock with electricity coming out.
Yeah, but that's true. Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
It has a flux matrix in the rock. But 300. I got the stats for you. I got it. 350 HP, 35 magical armor, 20 ability haste. The passive is unstable shackles. Nearby enemy heroes take 15% additional magic damage and have their tenacity decreased by 20%. It's the only item in the game that decreases tenacity, and
which means.
And now, the thing is this: can anybody confirm? Can tenacity go into negative values, or is it just a hard cut off at 0? because if it can go into negative values, then you make like a 2-second stun even longer, which is like, I don't know if you know.
that's massive.
Demonic
If it's
says
possible.
yes.
You can have negative tenacity.
You can have negative.
Confirmed.
So you can stun
Wow.
somebody and they'll literally sit there as if they got hit by a Richter ult.
Yeah, just go get some food. You then.
He said DoorDash, that shit.
Flux matrix on Richter is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm still learning a lot of the. Would you call this a tank item? I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It can be,
Especially
yeah.
if like a magic character is popping off on the other team, it's even better in that situation.
Yeah, like Steel.
Yeah, Steel. Like yeah,
He's got 3 abilities that will just immobilize anyone and flux. So that flux matrix will have them stunned for that much longer. Bull rush. Maybe they're in the air for a little longer. I don't know. But the knock up on the ultimate, and then when they return to the ground, they're like, my head.
Yeah, the dizzying animation
Like,
throughout
much
is
longer?
actually pretty hilarious. Like I just found out yesterday too that apparently all the like the red buff, the green buff, the gold buff, they have like this little dizzying animation whenever you kill it or whatever. Like it's like, oh no, you fucked me up. Like it's like, what? So little touches, they're dope. Now, is there anything else you guys want to add item wise? Because I will say, like, granted, like Krash you mentioned earlier, these are a little bit on the premature. It's just for kind of first impressions. We're not even a full week into these items. I will say the items are creative enough that I've seen people start experimenting and get creative. Like I've seen a lot of creators be like, yo, I'm gonna do a video, bro. Like that shit's nuts. I'm gonna put that shit on Twitter or whatever. So it's cool to see that items provoke that kind of creativity. People like
Right,
that.
the Kalari build is.
Oh my god!
The Kalari build is Marksman
Release
Crest. Marksman Crest, Mutilator, Sky Splitter, and then
sounds-
Augmentation.
So no thanks.
Because but hold
Okay.
on.
A full armor shred.
Now
I like Lightning Hawk too.
Yeah, actually, I watched your competitive video recently when you were playing against the Fang Mao,
Yeah.
and
I
now
shredded with that guy.
now what I'm wondering is this, and this is a question that I've wondered in my games, because oftentimes I'll see people build Mutilator first, straight up, and for me, in my personal opinion, is I feel like that's super greedy, because you're basically building the most expensive item in the game, and normally you can't really do that in like, I mean, at least I don't know, I could be wrong. Is that normal in other MOBAs?
Well, I think that the gold curve on it's like not bad. I think if it was like, what's the one? There's like one blade that's like 1,200 outright. It's like a mid component for some of these items. I can't think of it.
Like a big sword equivalent or whatever.
No, it's not the basilisk. It's the
I
it's
think
a
I know
big
what you're
sword.
talking about.
It just gives you like 35 power or 30 power or some shit like that.
On the
Yeah,
right side, you
it's
can't.
the thing with Mutilator is that it's a 3,300 item, which is like, you know, it's a lot of the items are between what 2,800 and 3,300, something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive, but it's got a decent gold curve. Like every time I go back to base, I'm able to build into this item.
Yeah.
And so for the strength of that passive, like for me, if I'm playing someone AD, I literally rush Mutilator on like on almost everybody, except for AD carries. AD carries, I do something different. But
Rux with Mutilator on solo is a force to be reckoned with, bro.
Oh god.
I mean, I'm building it on Grux. I'm building it on the only person I don't build it on is I don't build it on Rampage, but I'm tanking. But I'm basically rushing Mutilator on like everyone right now.
It is like if we had a tier list of items, it would be at the top. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It would be an S tier.
Oh, I have an interesting thought. The cleave items, the items that splash.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're
Overlord,
I think they're bait.
Mind Razor.
I think they're.
You think they're bait?
I think they're bait.
You think the AOE items are better or something?
I just think that like it's
like the little Thor mallet and whatever, like the ones where you smack and it does an AOE.
Splash AD damage. I think
There's a sword and a hammer.
Yeah.
Okay. Here to elaborate.
I just think that like that's one of those 8. Like I look at that item and I look at the like what it does, and I'm like, dude, that's not bad. I like that item. And then I'm like, but then there's Mutilator, and then there's Salvation, and then there's so many that are just like these huge like high impact items that I look at that item and I'm like, yeah, I can't buy that. I can't build that. Like I looked at Viper today for the first time and I was like, wait, I haven't built this once and this item looks nuts.
Fucking love
like,
Viper, bro.
That item is
Viper is crap.
Same thing with Basilisk. I never build Basilisk, and I'm like, this item's crazy. Like, there's so many items that are just insane, and so yeah, there's definitely, and I feel like it's AD items. It's mostly the AD items where there's like a handful of them that are like good, and I'm like, that's a bait item. I can't build you. I like you, but I can't build.
That's like the Muriel one that I was talking about, bro. It's like, yo, that sounds cool, but I might be throwing if I build that shit legit. Now, I will say, there is, you know how there's a lot of percentage pen on the AD side? When it comes to the AP side, they have 1 percentage pen item for mages. And I don't think that, like, this game is really, really heavy on the AD items. Not only are a lot of them stacked, as far as percentage goes. Because some will give you
mage items,
but they give you flat pen. 1 does percentage.
Oh, caustic, huh?
And I believe there's a threshold on it, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Above 50% maximum mana.
And then
if you're below, then you gain mana regen.
That's Caustica.
That's a sick item.
Hey, Crashy, Sergeant Smokey's talking to you.
Oh, is he?
Telling you to succumb to the baits. They will lead you to victory.
Dude, it's funny though, because like naturally I started Pred and I, Chimera, built it Overlord, Grux, I built Overlord, Rampage, I built Overlord, and I was like, the item works, right? Like it's not a bad item. And then I got a little bit deeper. And I was like,
by the way,
I love you, but
on Chimera, try Basilisk because his ult hits 6 times, and Basilisk, if you can land a multi-stun, and then your Unleash will do that much more damage. It's nice. Plus, the stats work well with Chimera. As a bruiser, you want power, health, and haste.
Yeah, I built like Bone Breaker.
What's that little sigil?
It looks amazing.
What's that little sigil that does the AoE damage that builds into tank items? The little Amber Stone or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm talking about?
Brimstone into Fire Blossom.
Like, bro, just build that stone and then go into Mutilator. That shit's nuts. Like, legit, you get the AoE, you get a cracked item, and then go back and finish a tank item for the second one. Like, your clear is insane, bro.
Leviathan is like an S tier item too, in my opinion. It's the health.
Kai ult hits 6 times.
Really?
Yeah, it hits 6 times. And Basilisk, if you can land a multiple stun, all 6, like once you reach full stacks on all 3 of them, their armor shredded.
Oh wow! Holy crap! What?
That's the best.
Where was this in the fine print?
Well, I will say that's one of my issues with items. If you are in the store, poor choice of words. If you're in the menu, because there is no store. If you're in the menu with the items, the descriptions in there, I thoroughly enjoy. Very descriptive. I can see values and stuff like that. When I go into the game, it doesn't say the same thing. Like, I'll give you an example here. I was actually making a build video here recently, and there's a specific item that in the item in itself in the store, it says, hey, you get an extra 150%, for example. Here we go. On Kingsbane, Regicide, takedowns grant you a shield for 3 seconds. That's what it says in the game. But in the menu, it says it grants you a shield 150% of your total physical power. That part is missing in the game. So in the game, I'm like, I'm getting a shield. I don't know what fucking shield amount I'm getting. I hope it's good. And it wasn't until I went out in the menu and actually looked at the item and it's like, it's 150%, but that shit doesn't say it in the game.
I'm a big advocate for just like one-to-one info. It should whatever the most detailed it is should be in every version of where you can read it.
How do you feel, especially because there are so many passives and so much stuff going on in one item? What if you would literally end up with this paragraph of shit because they decided to heavy load some of these items, right? He said, take some shit out.
I don't know. Like it's definitely, I mean, some of these items already are like a mouthful for sure. But like, I mean, I think to a player, like looking at these item shops, it's already like one of the most overwhelming parts of MOBAs, right? Is like jumping in and like thinking like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
100% agree. Crashy, well, you didn't play it, but like when I played Paragon, I played Paragon just before they had the card system, right? They had their items they had, right? And when I played it, I never knew what a MOBA was, right? I jumped in, I'm playing this game, and I'm playing at this. I feel like I'm just running into a fight and I'm shooting. That's what I need to be doing, right? I didn't know what ganks were, I wasn't paying attention to any of that shit. But I didn't understand what items I was building. I was just grabbing things. And then Paragon came out with this card system, and it was a 3-card system, and you had like early game, mid game, late game, right? And you just upgrade your cards as you went. It made it easier for me to be like, all right, I can just like, I read a card real quick. I go, all right, this is what I want. This is good early game, right? And you just kind of upgrade as you go, and it made it so much easier. And then then Paragon shut down. As I went into Smite, I looked at Smite's fucking items. I'm like, that's confusing, and I quit playing. I'm like, nope, I'm done. Like, I want nothing to do with it.
It can be overwhelming. With you. Smokey said in the chat, he's saying, what about a toggle option in the settings that you can choose between simplistic descriptions and advanced descriptions with the details like, hey, stun for this long, it does this much damage, it scales off of this. I wouldn't mind that at all. Like if for a simpler scenario for a casual player, if they had one thing, but then I get my nerd data, right? Like it still annoys me a little bit that I pull up an ability to upgrade and I have to sit there and see which, build a power item and then see which one has scaled the hardest, which value has changed the most, as opposed to just like, hey, scales 30%, scales 40% description, so to speak. So I mean, I'm okay with best of both. I think best of both is definitely the best scenario, but that would just mean more work, you know? Like, would that be worth it at that point?
They could even have it like it could be built into the shop where you can press a button and it toggles in, or they could have it be like an account like options. Like you go into your settings and you do
turn off auto buy or whatever,
it's the same way that it's like that. It's like, do you want detailed item descriptions or recommended item descriptions, so to speak? I think that'd be fine, right? Like it's always fun being like a really serious gamer and like thinking about all the things that I want, and then at the same time having to realize that like it's not that simple for the devs, right? Where they have to hit everything, right? Like they got to make it accessible to a controller. That's why they have to maybe there's not so many items or actives, and they have to make or I always talk about business model, because I tell people it's like, dude, there's if the players had their way with business models, games would die so fast.
Agreed.
Like we'd get everything for free, and so people are like, oh dude, these business models are crazy, and I'm like, is it really crazy though? Like, is it really like you kind of want them to make some money? It's so funny. So I always try to lean on the side of like, all right,
you mean developer, like you charge it for EA? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know. I'm still I'll die on this hill. I think the charging for EA, I get why people are annoyed by it, but dude, if the bundles weren't so amazing,
I don't get why people are annoyed by it. I don't get why people are annoyed by it. Like it's not like EAs aren't being charged for EA. It's not like it's a new thing. It's not like something. It's not like we never heard of it, right? Like it's something. Like, I don't know. I like
most of the people annoyed by it are on console and can't play. Change my mind.
Well,
dang.
Oh, I'm sorry I went there. Anyway,
this is a really interesting question. This is a really go for it.
Drongo, have you played a lot of Drongo lately? Bearded?
Oh yeah.
Have you tried Viper?
I have not yet.
So Viper is one of those ADC items, right? Mm-hmm. When you throw your boomerang and you have any bit of crit, which you will have when you have Viper, right? It gives you 20%. Those 6 stacks that you get from his passive as well also count towards Viper. So you can throw your boomerang through a bunch of heroes and they'll get their 6 stacks, and then boom, their armor shredded.
Nice. I like it.
Wait, but I mean, it's only you're only ever going to apply 2 at one time, right? When the boomerang goes forward and comes back for each hero, right?
Yeah.
His passive, they get hit with an ability, and you have some crit, so it'll tick.
He's saying it applies on minion also.
Yeah, but you would need to apply the corrode 6 times on the hero, which would be 6 hits or 6 crits.
Viper
passive ticks.
Dealing damage to an enemy hero reduces their physical armor by 5% for 2 seconds, stacks up to 6 times.
Okay.
And then the diligence, your critical strikes deal 15% more damage against targets with 6 stacks of corrode. So to get the 6 stacks that you're talking about, I would have to do the 3 times of the boomerang on the.
But then again, the basic is also there to apply crit, and 100% crit builds are so fucking easy to do, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, a full crit build on Drongo honestly feels great. If you guys haven't tried it out there, definitely worth mentioning.
100% on every crit, every ADC.
Krash, you were gonna say something? You had a question?
You said great question.
No, they fucking left me.
No,
It's gone.
Was it something about items?
I thought you saw something in chat. I thought you saw something in chat. You're like, oh, great question.
No, I don't know.
Me personally, I love talking about items and heroes and seeing what the chat thinks.
Yeah,
Would Red Rounds? Red Rounds would practice that. Yes.
I still love the creativity that this game has brought out of people. Like, people are excited to play it and everything. Yeah, like there's arguments on the free to play, right? There's arguments on how finished of a game it is. A lot of people are complaining
where Wukong is. Yeah,
agreed. That for some reason that's a question that's fucking
always,
going around.
It's always a fun part for me is when people are like, oh, I can't wait till they add, or they really need to add this hero because it's so good, and I'm just like, yeah, it's so good, and I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. You know what I mean? Like unless they were in
Wukong.
Unless they were in Paragon the Overprime, I have no clue. Like, so you Revenant, Twin Blast, cool. I kind of, Wraith, I got some context, but people are like, dude, this one character was crazy, and I'm like, yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Just to fill you in, Krashy, Wukong was the character everybody loved. Totally balanced, very fair. It was just the people's champ.
I'm hearing you.
That's why we keep J-Pie.
He'd also be the one that I would tell you not to give me his broken build because I don't want everybody to know about it.
Just to give you context, he's the only character that could push an inhibitor by himself at level 6. Like,
nice.
Yeah, it was kind of when
he's the only character that ever got removed from the game because they couldn't find a fix.
I will say YouTube algorithm went on this thing and it decided to recommend me the Crunch announcement trailer for Paragon, and then I was like, oh yeah, I forget this is like a channel. So then I clicked through it and I watched the like spotlight for Terra. And that character looked cool.
That's my girl.
I was like because of my playstyle, I was like, I would play that. That looks fun.
That's my girl.
Super frontline.
The only character in all of Paragon that had CC immunity.
Dude, she was the animation for her ult is like the helmet like
yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, okay.
Spice.
Yeah. Okay.
Immune to crowd control.
Yeah. Unstoppable is what the video said.
Yeah, just like in Pokemon Unite, it's unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Okay.
You know, like a Charizard ulting, you need like a Slowbro to ult to stop him or something.
Yeah.
I know Charizard's orange. That's all I know about Pokemon. Anyways, onto the actual conversation of the game we're playing, Pred.
Nice.
Oh.
So this Viper card, we're talking about Drago again. And it came up in chat. I just want to confirm what you guys think about this. You said his boomerang, but the boomerang's not even the point of it. It's the rad rounds, right? The rad rounds add DOT damage. So if the DOT, that every tick of damage, because it says dealing damage to an enemy hero reduces their physical. So if I'm doing rad rounds and it's doing DOT damage to them, does
plus
that
the basic?
In my opinion,
the basic obviously
go boomerang first. It'll help you versus the lane and then the heroes.
By the time you finish that item, you're gonna have all abilities, bro. Let's be real.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saying if I want to get my 6 stacks, because I want to get that diligence, I want to get that 15% more damage against targets with 6 stacks of corrode. I want 6 stacks corrode of them. The fastest way to get 6 stacks corrode of them, it would be the rad rounds to get the DOT damage, the tick damage that they would be receiving from that. Am I right or am I wrong, or is that not how the item is supposed to work?
Maybe.
If Demande or Smokey's in chat or anybody who's tested it can let me know how that is.
Drongo's passive abilities is boomerang, right? You throw your boomerang out, plus the passive, the ticks come in also, like really quickly too.
All right, I guess it's all damage over time, and Drongo needs nerf. Heard. Anyway, but no, and I got to give a quick little shout out. I know this is not going to be related to the actual game itself, but quick little shout out to Ometa, because I've seen their staff supporting content creators like nobody's business.
Right?
On different levels, whether it's a CEO, whether it's just a normal tester, like their staff is literally on deck. And if they're not trying to fix something, they're like, all right, we're already here. Let's go support. Let's go chat. Let's go answer questions. Let's give shout outs. Let's go retweet this Twitter post for no damn reason. Like, GG to them. They're doing great community interaction.
I think there's so much to be said about the debate and the discussion between Paragon the Overprime and Predecessor. And one of the big leads that Predecessor has is Ometa. Like, this is a studio of people that are incredibly passionate. It's a studio of people that have crazy experience. It's a studio of people that are doing the thing that every like player wants the devs to do, and other devs are quite, I mean, for lack of a better term, just afraid to do. And that's communicate well. One thing I know about developers is they're so afraid to say too much and then overpromise and then fall short. But I always dare developers to be bold enough to say everything you want to say, give us all the information that you can, and then approach us with humility when things change, right? Say, hey, look, we were aiming for this timetable, didn't work out. Bear with us a little bit longer. We're going to get there. Because I appreciate that much more than them saying nothing because it's safer. And a lot of devs do that. They take that path of just, playing it real safe so they don't disappoint anybody, and I don't know, feels less connected.
Yeah. So here's something I see with Ometa compared to the others as well. Fault and Strange Better Studios, they came out and told you that they want to be a studio that creates multitude of games, right? That's what they plan on doing, right? And then you have Team Soul that's teamed up with Netmarble now, and Netmarble has all of their own shit they're doing. They don't make just Overprime, right? They're making other games as well, right? And Team Soul kind of morphed into them, like they work with them, right? Ometa hasn't come out and said that. I'm not saying they don't want to make more games in the line, but right now their focus is Predecessor, right? SMS had their focuses were all over the place. Netmarble's got all of their shit going all over the place. Ometa's focused right on Predecessor. They're working on Predecessor, and that's what they want to be here for. And that, to me, that says a lot as a consumer. Like, they want to make sure that what we're buying right now is going to be taken care of before they even look at doing something else in the future.
I suppose I'll say though, I agree with Krashy to the point that Ometa itself is an asset in this race by all means. Now, by all means, playing devil's advocate too, the other team has some really heavy hitters and everything, right? Like, they got budget heavy hitters and whatnot. But I do agree that it feels a little bit more like traditional marketing as opposed to connecting with the devs, as opposed to, looking at both sides of the coin here. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think they're doing great, but at the same time, I really, really wish that they would. How is it? Like, so you, JPie, you know how Robbie came to do a video with you, for example, right? An amazing moment. A lot of people should see that video, etc., right? I feel like moments like that should be shared a little bit more. Just giving a little bit of feedback. It's not every single day that you get to have an interview and ask questions directly to the CEO of a company. Like, that's something that in some section, or even if it's just in the Gen Chat, is like, hey guys, make sure you get this and check this shit out. Very good information, even if it's just for like a day or two. You get me?
Yeah.
It could be. I personally feel like the Otis is on me, because if I had a larger channel, then I would be reaching a larger audience. And the fact that he would just go out to speak with such a small creator like myself, I'm just very grateful for the opportunity, and I'm just appreciative, because that's like, I'll have you guys know, I told my job, I'm like, yeah, I got contractors coming to my home. I gotta go check, let them in. And I was I was moving mountains to have the interview, and it was a lot of fun. And the fact that he's as busy as he is to make time to speak with a small creator like myself, I think that it really speaks a lot. And
right. No, and I don't think that's what Windu's saying. I think Windu is saying is like, so Robbie did that, right? So then there's other people on the team that can help promote that conversation that happened, right? Because I know that Robbie said things in that interview that is good information for the community to know, right? So it'd be easy for a community manager to post it in Discord, say, hey, check out this interview that JPI did with our CEO, blah blah blah, and promote it, and then allow the community to see that more. Because I'm not saying you're small by any means, but like you even said, you're not like it doesn't reach that many viewers. That would help reach more viewers by them putting it out there.
It benefits you, and it benefits them sharing those opinions and conversations with the community.
It could be I think that maybe like the community managers have a strategy, and maybe they it could be any number of things, really. Who knows what's on their plate, what they're preoccupied with and busy with.
And you could be right. We're just saying that that's something that could have definitely been utilized and benefited the team.
Yeah, because it's not like they're sharing normal gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, I would put it at a different tier of sharing information,
right?
Because gameplay clips, etc., a simple retweet to fix that by all means. But for example, if you post your interview and it gets retweeted, and it's just retweeted at the wrong time of the day, it's not in the announcement channel or something, how many people in the chat knew or didn't know? How many people in the chat didn't know that interview between JPI and RGS Ace existed? If you didn't know, just type the number 1. I want to see it in the chat. Because I'll be honest with you, I talked to JPI. I found out about that shit today. I found out about that shit today, bro. And with all the love in the world, it's one of those things that right now the algorithm is competitive in every single social media, whether you're looking at YouTube, Twitter, etc. Everybody in this podcast, Predcast right now is posting content. And we're just 5 out of like 100 different ones that are competing right now. If I am not there in that 1 hour time frame where you posted it, there's a good chance I missed that shit.
JPI, post that link in our chat. I'll post it.
I just threw it up.
He tried it, blocked it.
I have links blocked.
Okay, hold on. I gotcha.
Yeah, just share.
For those want to buy, special views type people who you want to buy viewers?
Want to be famous?
Yeah.
Want to be famous?
Let me get my credit card.
Type
You want fame and fortune?
Let us know with those number 1s in the chat if you haven't heard of it. I see a couple people say like Bader saw it on YouTube, somebody saw it on Reddit, Noxious. So, but you get what I'm saying? Like right now, just off of those short responses that we got, there's 2 that saw it and 4 that didn't. You keep that ratio and spread it out to your 400 viewers. So that literally means that there's at least another 800 out there that haven't seen it. Minimum. You know what I'm saying? And let's be real, in the entire pool of Predecessor fans and Predecessor active players, how many of them would actually love to see that interview? I'm just saying, and again, it would benefit you, but at the same time, it would benefit them. It's just one of those things that a special moment like that, like if, like for example, us having, like if Robbie came on here and he answered some dope questions that, people might want to hear this shit out. That's one of those things where it's like, hey, check this shit out. We answered a lot of great questions from the community or on any creator's channel, They did more. I remember seeing it. I don't know if it might have been just in Gen Chat, whatever, but they did more for the stranger interviewing Blood Mortius. Than they did that I remember, and maybe they did do it for yours, and I was that time that I wasn't in Gen Chat, whatever. But I've seen people post like, hey, this interview's happening with Blood Mortius, and I didn't know that you had a video until later on that I was looking at your YouTube that I saw later on, but yeah, so that like there's things that like can be done that can help out, like with it. I'm not saying that, hey, just because we interviewed Sundown, in one of our podcasts, like I'm not saying that just needs to get, hey,
this needs to get pushed. Like, but big ones that, that have good, good content in there, like those can definitely be used. And be like, hey, make sure you check this out.
Yeah, I don't know who leads that. I kind of feel like with all the things that need to be done for early access and every, it's not like on anybody's radar.
I feel you. More than likely, they're slammed and trying to interact in different places and stuff.
This is an up and coming company. It's not like they've been doing this for years on years. They have community managers that have been doing this stuff. They're still learning their job as well. So again, that's what this show basically is for, is that constructive criticism for Teemo Meta, to be able to look at it, see what we got, see how the community feels, because you got the community content live here on Twitch, you got the community comments on Windows YouTube channel there, where it's going to be that you can read those comments from what's going on. You can also get our opinions voiced out here. It's great for the situation, for them to grow, and the next time they do get a content creator to interview Robbie or interview Smokey or interview whoever that's up there, and get good content out there, they can push it out there for us.
Yeah, and I'd like to just say maybe 2 or 3 things on that, because I appreciate the love and bringing up the video and talking about it. But if I was to think about it, just I would try to think of it from the most objective standpoint. It's probably because they'll promote videos and just clips at certain times, but I think maybe they also are trying to avoid maybe showing favoritism, or it could just be there could be any number of business reasons why, because maybe the possibility exists that they had considered that, but then for a legal reason or something like that, they just thought, we can't go overboard with it. We have to do it sparingly, or it could be any number of reasons, really.
I mean, but the way I see it, if they weren't willing to promote an interaction like that, they probably shouldn't have hosted the interaction. You get me? If you're having your CEO take his valuable time out of his day, because he could be doing plenty of other shit also, you might as well turn that into an asset, into a tool that you can use as far as information, clips, etc. Right? They could ask you for the VOD and be like, hey.
But I think that's what they're relying on us for, us as content creators, because we, alongside the players and the community as a whole, drive the games forward, and they're kind of doing what they can with their time, and I do think that's my mindset most of the time. Like the onus is on me, the responsibility is mine, because he like the way that I see it, RGAS Ace, he gave me the alley-oop, and I tried to dunk it. And I posted it, I posted it on the Reddit and Discord and stuff like that. But yeah, that's like my perspective on it.
I'm pretty curious, because since we're talking about giving feedback and thoughts about a meta and stuff, what are some of the things that you think need to be done, or what are things that you as a player need to see going forward? And this is a kind of in totality way of putting it, for Pred to be successful. What needs to happen now? We all agree that the game has great gameplay. It's not a complete game. We accept it for being an early access game. What needs to happen?
Can I start off?
No. Medkit, what do you got?
So I will say, I might answer that question with a question, and you guys will already know where I'm going with it. Who was the number 1 creator of Paragon? Content creator.
RGSAs.
No. Sorry, channel.
Ailit?
Absolutely. It absolutely was Ailit. And we need, as a result, what I was leading to is a replay system, and also just a spectator mode. One, because this is one of the biggest things that I advocated for Fault, And it's because from a content creation standpoint, if you only have one perspective, the content is basically one dimensional. You're only ever going to have one perspective, the player's perspective, and you can't be creative. And you can think about what Alit did. Alit created like hilarious moments, just great, funny things. He added his own flavor. But also, if you have a spectator mode or something like that, then now you can cast tournaments. People they're going to be organizing events, their own hosted tournaments. They're going to be manipulating the camera in their own styles. The replay system, like the game is in a great state, but for the community to have the tools to drive this game to new heights, we need that kind of functionality put into the game.
I agree. A theater mode.
Interesting.
That's
not what I would
agree it's something that that is needed, but I don't know if that's like I think if you take that out of there, can the game still succeed? I think yes, and I think what we need there is we just need a consistent. What's what I'm looking for? Update like plan, right? We need consistent patches. Right, we can't let the game get dull at any moment. We can't let one meta just overrun and push people away. Because if you push somebody away from this game, what's going to draw them back? If it's meta, if it's because I don't like the ADC meta and it's been there for so long, what's going to bring that person back? Right? Is the game really that good? That okay, finally ADC meta's gone. I'll come back and play. No, you got to keep that. You got to keep the game fresh. And that's where the patches make those changes. So I think getting the game to a point where you get all those quality life things that we talked about earlier, the store, the skins, replay system, you get all that QOL stuff in there. I think the patches, being at a consistent point is the biggest thing that needs to happen with this game.
See, I'm going to go on the side and say if their primary focus is gameplay and things that affect gameplay directly, I would say information is the thing that they need to add ASAP. They need to have a legend or a glossary in the menu to tell people what the fuck tenacity is, for example, for those that don't know, right? Like how many, you guys as content creators, how many times have you been asked in the last 30 days, what's tenacity, right? That needs to be readily available for every consumer. At the same time, that information portion goes into the items that we talked about. There needs to be clear, concise information that you can read and know accessible at all times. And at the same time, post-match analysis of your stats. Like that's all information. We already know it's tracking. You get a death recap. I'm sure that that's something probably being worked on as we speak. But having that death recap of the stats of what's going on, be like, hey, I built these 6 stats. I did 140,000 damage. I built these 6 items, and this game I only did 80. That might not be the comp to go for. I thought I was doing some good shit, but clearly I didn't do as much damage as I thought. I just think information in general not only will help the gameplay, will help people understand the game, but will also help elevate the level of gameplay and help with the bell curve of the MMR and everything. Does that make sense when I say it that way? I think information is what they need to add.
I think it makes sense.
So to answer my own question, this might be long-winded, sorry. I think that the way that I want to see them go about it is to continue to communicate. The first thing that we have to get from them, and I always try to remind people of this, is that like we see change in the game in clumps, like with patch to patch, whereas developers tend to see changes daily because they're in the office, they're working, they're making these changes. And so a lot of the things that we might, bring up, they may be like, oh yeah, that's already done. You know what I mean? Like in their minds, they're just like, yeah, we've already done that, or it's coming soon, or, that's already been iterated on. So I want to see the first roadmap that they ever give us. We saw Sergeant Smokey say that's like going to be coming at some point, or they're working on it. That's going to give us
this week sometime.
Yeah, that's going to give us
didn't read it.
A really good set point for where they're at and what they're thinking, and then just to continue to iterate and make good communication and good posts that give us the sense of like where they're going with things. I think that goes such a long way. For me personally, in terms of what I actually want to see, I think progression is huge. And we know that the game doesn't have progression because they haven't, come out with that yet, but that is going to be what keeps people retained and what keeps them coming back. And so, some version of, hero progression or like a leveling system, account leveling system, battle pass type systems, eventually ranked mode, for people to kind of test themselves and to improve. All of those types of things I think are going to be eventually core. And I don't actually even for myself have like a timetable. Like I don't know when I think the game needs a lot of these things, but I definitely think as long as they're like building their way towards that while communicating their intent to reach towards some of those systems and some of those things as they approach the end of early access leaning towards launch, that's what will keep like me engaged, because right now I'm definitely fully engaged just with gameplay and I'm learning, but a lot of that like will definitely kind of taper off as I feel like I've learned everything I can to learn, or as I've played every hero and done a bunch of different things to the point of being nauseous, to where I'll start wanting something for the return of the time that I put in. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts for now.
Don't forget, some people might have missed it in the chat, but Smokey did confirm that the roadmap is incoming, and that they were hoping to get it out by this week.
I literally just said that.
Just reiterating, bro, based off the conversation. Worth mentioning. Yeah, but that'll get vision as far as like goals that they're going for and stuff. What were you gonna say, JP?
Yeah, I mean, if not this week, then hopefully before the end of the month. I think they'll hit that target.
And we're getting a new hero before the end of the month with Countess and stuff. Who knows? Wait, what really? Else?
We are?
Yeah.
They confirmed Countess in December.
Discord, in the main Discord, one of the Q&A was, is Huntress part of the early access, right? And Kari, the senior community manager, the very last sentence said, the one she hunts will be in early access. So Countess.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So, all right.
It would make sense to me to introduce Countess and then Huntress, because Huntress is seeking Countess, right? Yo, everyone has beef with Countess, damn.
Why?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Kara.
Rev, Sevarog, Sareth. I'm talking lore-wise.
Who else? So Tara. Tara has the lore.
I know too.
I know Tara does because I literally just watched the video about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Tara. So.
Kind of sounds like a real bitch.
yeah. I think in a previous podcast, as Medkit mentioned, she just like was in the lore. She was slaughtering a bunch of villages and stuff, and that pisses people off.
That'll do it. Yeah.
That'll do it.
That will do it.
All right, so on that note, guys, we've already been here for 2.5 hours. This is really the max. Yeah, nah, chill out. So yeah, just a quick little shout out to everybody watching, the staff that's been engaging with us. We really do appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much. We're gonna go ahead and do our outros in the same order that you introduced yourself. Give a little message to the community and then tell them what you're up to.
Real quick, Crashy, after you're done doing your outro, send me your links or send JPI your links so we can get that to Windu, and Windu can get that posted in the YouTube video.
Gotcha. Sure. So yeah, again, my name's Crashy. I am soon to be 30-year-old content creator who's been playing games since I was tiny. Yeah, I turned 30 in like 2 days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday, bro.
Thanks, man. I don't know. I actually don't care about my age. I just like to meme about it because it's like a thing people do. But yeah, no, I don't know. I've been playing games competitively since I was 13. I went to like my first MLG event, and I want to take this game competitive. I might be building a team and joining a team and trying to go the full esports route. I also like doing a lot of casting, so might throw my hat into the casting ring, because then I start to talk like this and I start really getting hype about the casting, the fight going down in the mid late. And so like, dude, I've been doing casting for like 8-9 years too. I love just everything gaming, esports, competitive, free to play titles, and MOBAs and battle royale specifically. Those are my homes. But dude, I love it, man. So YouTube content daily, 2-3 times a day right now at Crashy. Twitter, same thing, at Crashy, dude. I'm around. I'm streaming. I'm playing. Jungling.
All right. I'm gonna hook you up with somebody on the caster side, by the way. Yeah. I got somebody that could be part of that dynamic duo that once you meet him and talk to him, you're gonna be like, bro, where the fuck have you been all my life? Like y'all are gonna sync up like crazy. I got you.
Notch.
I can't. Med, go.
All right, hey everyone. I'm Medkit. I'm gonna be streaming some Pred after this. Actually, I make Pred content, and I turn 30 in 2 weeks.
Oh, you too?
What?
Yeah. No, I'm serious.
Yeah. We out here.
Nice.
We out here.
Oh, random side note. I have a video on one of my old YouTube channels. It's coming up on 13 years old. And it's a video of me and Sundown casting a Gears of War tournament.
Ooh.
Goddamn throwback.
There we go.
Baller.
There we go.
Yeah.
Jay Pizzle.
Hey guys. Yeah, it's just so my channels, I like to call it the dojo, and we just again, we want to be competitive, and we just teach each other, learn, go through builds, discuss ideas, theory craft, and just have a good time. You know, although we're trying to go hard in the game, you know, we don't take it too seriously. We just have fun with it and enjoy, kick back, and all relish in our passion and enthusiasm for Predecessor. And so Twitch TV / JPie. I also make YouTube content, and I'm starting to kick that into higher gear, and I'll have commentaries, non-commentaries, just general guides and tutorials. I have one as well for newer players there that kind of helps get you a quick understanding of heroes and their strengths and things like that. And I welcome you, new players and old, experts, amateurs, whatever. You know, it's like, it is a dojo. We help each other. The black belts are teaching the brown belts, and then we're all there. We're brothers and sisters, and thanks for watching the cast this episode, and I hope to see you there.
Spicy.
All right.
Mr.
Yes.
50-year-old beard, go ahead.
Nice. There we go. I like it. I actually just trimmed the beard up. It's a little smaller than normal, but it's still looking great. Anyways, thanks for coming, hang out, guys. I appreciate all of you. The chat was popping off tonight, and it was great to see Robbie in, great to see Smokey in, and Demande and Meds and all these people coming in. I appreciate all of you coming in and helping out, answering the questions we do have, but also asking questions too as well. It was great to see that interaction with them. But outside of this, I'm streaming live on this channel here. If you're watching on Windows YouTube channel, it is the Beard Wolverine on Twitch. But I'm also been putting a lot of YouTube content now with this Predecessor going live, and I've been hitting milestones after milestones. I got my first video hit 1K views. I got over 6K views now on my YouTube channel. So I'm just starting out. I'm little, I get that, but we're growing as we keep doing it. So I'm gonna keep posting that. So don't forget to check that out. YouTube, the Beard Wolverine, and I hope you all have a great night. And don't forget to come back next week for the next Predcast, episode 5.
True. And honestly, guys, I just hope that you guys enjoy these videos that we're making. Again, thank you so much for our guest, Krashy, stopping by, providing some insight. Definitely very valuable. And thank you for the staff, everybody that came by, like Bearded said. And quite frankly, as far as me, guys, I'm just trying to push that Twitter and that YouTube as hard as possible, quite frankly. I still Twitch all the time, but that's what I'm focusing on. You guys can find me at Windy the Mace on every single platform. And I gotta say, I'm loving the direction that not only this video format with the Predcast is going. I'm loving the interaction that we're getting, and I look forward to what conversations, what influences we can have down the road, and seeing how we can help the community grow. So again, thank you all for stopping by. We will see you on the next one. But as always,
one second, real quick. If you do want to be a guest host like Krash was on this episode, don't be afraid to hit any of us up at the DMs. Mainly me. I'm the one that kind of does the scheduling. But if you do hit one of you do have a direct connect with Medkit or JPie or Windu, let us know and we'll get you scheduled in, and we'll definitely get that taken care of.
I was about to say, if you message me, I will 100% just say message Bearded.
Yeah, that's true.
I will 100% just say message Bearded.
If you've seen his Discord, he doesn't look at that stuff. So
I'm the guy with like 10,000 unread emails. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I'm in 100 Discord I'm in 100 Discord servers, and yeah, I'm in 100 Discord servers, and every single Discord server has at least 100 unread notifications. If you tag me in any chat, rest assured I probably didn't see it. But again, thank you guys, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.